Hey, what's happening, everybody? 6:02 in the Rose City. Time for Dirt and Sprague.
Blue Poncho, Monday. Red Polly.
Here we go.
How we doing? Happy Football Friday, everybody. Dirt here, no Sprague. He's running hood to coast. Might join us in an hour if he has cell service. Swag, what's going on, buddy?
Hey.
Happy first Football Friday.
It is Football Friday.
We made it.
It is here. We made it.
We have actual games on television tomorrow that we can watch.
Yes.
That count. That
and
aren't
games
fake
to
games.
listen to.
Yes.
We will have that Kansas State-Iowa State
Look at
over
us.
on 910.
Look at us. Bright and early tomorrow. If you're driving around at 9 a.m., you're looking for football, we got you covered over in Ireland.
If you have maybe the first, I don't know when club soccer, soccer goes year-round. I don't know when the fall season starts.
Ooh, good question. Yeah, I would imagine it's already here.
This is when we get all the little ones, the 5- and 6-year-olds out there on the half-size field with the little mini goals.
Running half fields back and forth, kicking it in absolute chaos. Yeah. Can't control them. They have no clue what they're doing, but it's an absolute blast, and you're outside. But you can listen to the game.
You'll be there soon, my friend. You'll be there soon.
It's right around the corner.
Are we going to do soccer?
I think soccer is the most natural one to start with for every kid. Is it not? Like, soccer is the easiest go-to of a sport that they could play by the time they're 2.
Because you're just outside. You're running around. Basically, you need a pair of shoes and a ball.
That's all you need. And a goal. And there's no other real skill that's involved.
There's not a lot of heavy investment going on.
Basketball can't start at this age. Football, obviously.
Basketball's a little tough with the fine coordination you need for dribbling and passing and shooting.
Baseball's not happening
Football,
yet.
we're a little too small unless you're in Florida or Texas, and you're never too small.
Then you start
probably betting on it.
Tackle football starts at 12 months in Florida and Texas.
Exactly.
You got to be a little more serious down there.
So yeah, I think T-ball starts at 5.
That sounds about right. That's a couple years away. I think there's a soccer thing in our neighborhood that they do called like little kickers.
They might even be that like 3.
And you can, I think you can legitimately start at like 2.5, 3. Yeah. And they just basically, it's not even a team, like you don't play games. I think you just go practice.
You just run around there.
And then everybody lines up.
It's like when everybody that's born in Minnesota first gets on skates.
You just put them on ice.
You're on hockey skates.
The second they can stand.
We do.
Happy Friday, everybody. That is around the corner. I'm dragging a little bit today. We had the rehearsal dinner last night. My brother-in-law's getting married tonight.
Just about the time you walked in, I've learned not to, but we got past 5:45.
Yeah, that's hey, we're here.
I was like, everything okay this morning?
We're here. We're been up since about 3:30. Little guy got up. No. He was a little wired
there's 2
night.
Things that could go wrong. One, you enjoyed yourself at the rehearsal dinner.
I did. I mean, I had fun. I didn't go over the top. We had a couple glasses of wine. That was it. We kept it.
Or 2. Teddy Ballgame's being Teddy Ballgame a little earlier than he should be.
I think he was a little overstimulated last night. There's a lot of noise, a lot of bells and whistles, a lot of responsibilities.
Did we keep the fettuccine on our plate?
It was actually perfect. So we went to an Italian spot close by, and delightful food. I don't give away free advertising. I try not to, at least. So I won't mention it, but the food was fantastic.
Well, good.
And they had a kids menu that included cheese pizza.
Oh, perfect.
Which, for any kid under the age of 2, cheese pizza you can't beat.
No.
Because he's to the point now where you can hand him an entire slice and he'll start gnawing on it.
We got enough teeth to...
Dude, he's perfect.
Great.
Boom, here's a pizza. And the best part about it, too, was, and this is one of the things I've learned in parenting over the last 18, almost 19 months now, is that the food that you get to eat as leftovers is pretty solid. Like, we make him a lot of stuff that he doesn't like, and I'm like, all right, cool, I'll eat it. That's a leftover for me. And this pizza, the kids' pizza that came, I mean, we're talking like a normal, it's almost like a Sprague level medium pizza.
Oh,
it came out, and I'm like, hey.
Individual sized,
I mean,
like.
He's going to eat a slice and a half of this, and that's all he's got room for, and he's going to be at capacity. And then I'm looking at a 75% pie that's left over.
Or you've got the extra to feed him again today where you don't have to prepare something.
That is true. And
Let me just warm one of these up for you there, pal.
Here's your lunch, buddy. Happy afternoon.
And he thoroughly enjoyed it.
Oh, he was loving it.
There you go.
It's hard when you're in a restaurant, though. You probably remember this from the young kiddo days of, obviously in a public setting, thankfully we had like kind of a room reserved, so it
yeah,
wasn't
there you go. You're separated
in the middle of the general public.
And it's noisy in there anyway.
It's already noisy, so he's making noise. It's not that big of a deal. He's not standing out and the only one that's yelling. It is hard, though, to keep them cooped up in a small, confined area for long amount of time.
You needed to go out for a walk around the block at
every 10 minutes. Every 10 minutes, it's like, let's go run a lap around the restaurant and we'll come back.
We can't pass them off because you got all your family there.
No, I didn't have to do every single one of them. Yeah, we'd pass them off. Somebody else would take them out. He'd, run around and he'd come back.
You got a wedding, you got a lot of family, you got a lot of people that want to go and have their 5 minutes with them.
It's perfect, man.
So that you usually can, carve out 15 minutes there to enjoy your meal.
Much better than when we go out to dinner and
when it's just the two of you and you're just sitting there with one foot, ready to go, the other one ready to grab the bag.
Which way are we going to go? Which way? Did he poop? What happened? Where's he going? Is there food flying? Is he yelling?
Get through this meal. They come over and the waiter's like, let me tell you about the specials. Like, no, we know what we want. Boom, 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 boom. As soon as it's done, bring it.
I even did that last night because we were, it's a nice fancy place. And so we're waiting and, everybody's enjoying their cocktail. And I even popped out to talk to the waiter. I was like, if we could get a cheese pizza going right now, that would be delightful. I got you. So he helped me out. The cheese pizza came out first. But yeah, and then you always, whenever you're out to dinner too, it's like after you're maybe halfway through your meal, the first time the waiter walks by to check if everything's okay, which is always a delightful check-in, you say, we're ready for the bill whenever you get a moment, just so I'm prepared.
Just have that ready to go.
We're not ordering anything else.
No,
this is all we're getting.
We've got cookies and ice cream at home for dessert. Sorry, it looks wonderful, but
yes, we're ready.
We don't want to push our luck.
As soon as we are done eating, I would like to be able to pick up and leave ASAP, and so that check being here would be delightful right now. Yes. Big night for him though tonight because he is. Now it's more of
Is he the ring bearer?
He's the ring bearer tonight with the soon-to-be sister-in-law has a nephew that's roughly the same age, a little bit older, a little over 2, so there's not a huge gap. But
so our mom's kind of...
We're hurting. We practiced yesterday. Rehearsal was yesterday. And, got to be honest with you, I don't know how he's going to perform under pressure tonight. We'll see. TBD. The other little kid.
You're going to find out if you got a PTP or not tonight.
Exactly. This is the spotlight's going to be on him.
Does he?
Everybody will be turned around watching him walk down the aisle. And I don't know if he's going to freeze in that moment. I don't know if we're going to melt down.
Enjoy the spotlight.
Could be running around saying hi to everybody. Is he going to make everybody laugh?
High five him down the. Are you at a church or are you at an outdoor venue?
It's at a general. It's literally right across the street. It's the venue. Remember where we had the Colin Cowherd thing?
Oh yeah.
It's right there. So it's a general big space, perfect for kids.
But
it's not
enclosed.
A church. He's enclosed. He can't go running out and into the sidewalk or street.
And
so
there's
that's
air
perfect.
conditioning.
And there's air conditioning, which is a box that I needed to have checked.
Outside.
Today's going to be brutal.
Yeah, I'm going to be outside emceeing an event.
Oh, no.
A winery.
Now, did you say yes to this before checking the weather, I'm assuming? This is one of those sure, I'll do it. And then...
Well, it was pitched to me like a couple months ago. So,
thinking, Friday in August, no
and
big
it was
deal.
family, so I was going to do it no matter what. I do believe we will be in some shade.
Okay, that's good. So you got a little bit of cover today to help you out. Anything outside today and tomorrow? I said this the last time we got a heat wave. I'm so over it. I am so ready for a changing of seasons.
I took 2 of my nephews to play the little 9-hole muni at Lake Oswego.
Ooh, what's the review on that? I've never played over there. Good for kids? Good for kids?
Yeah, it's good for kids. Good place to learn. The greens were in good shape. The tee boxes could use some downtime.
Yeah. They've been busy this summer. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
A little beat up at this point.
And when it's mostly a little par 3, the longest hole was 300 yards.
Okay.
So a lot of people are just setting a ball down. You know, there's a lot of 100, 120-yard holes.
You set it down, grab your gap wedge,
and
there's
a lot
of
divots, and the tee boxes are small. You're cramped in.
Right.
Not a lot of different places to move that around to let stuff grow back. So
that's one of my I've never played this course. That's understandable on a par 3 because big divots happen on par 3s.
Yeah.
It's not like a par 5.
There's a lot of people that are it's a place to go learn the game and that sort of stuff.
So
and
you got chunks coming off the tee box. That's one of my biggest pet peeves on local golf courses, which I get it. Budgets are budgets. Not
especially
everybody.
If you're playing public, heavily played.
You know what you're getting
courses.
when you sign up. Can I just get a flat tee box?
Yeah.
A flat tee box to me is a thing that should be a given on every golf course. And when you go play places that don't have a flat tee box, it sticks out like a sore thumb. If I'm standing there trying to hit my driver and I feel like the ball's 6 inches above my feet, that's not a comfortable feeling. Now I'm already worried about hooking the hell out of the ball. Now it's above my feet. I got an uphill lie on a tee box, man. Help me out a little bit here. That's one of my biggest pet peeves on local. I get it. Budgets are tough. Not everybody, every muni course doesn't have the ability to do that. But
you're trying to play for as long as you can possibly play, and
right.
So when do you? How much downtime do you need? And then you can't grow grass in the winter, so it's a little tough.
It's not an easy thing to do. Just flatten them out. If I got a dirt patch, that's okay. Just give me flat and level. That should be understandable and a universal rule in the game of golf.
But I'm glad you got through the event last night fairly smoothly.
We're here. It went okay. It was a little bit of a late night dragging. I did not have, a couple of glasses of wine, very low-key night.
There we go.
I am wondering, because the venue was here, we had to come down to the rehearsal and then go to the restaurant, so we parked at work to go to the venue.
Beautiful.
Which will be great. I don't have to worry about parking today. But I did take my parking pass out of my truck and put it in the wife's Subaru, and I forgot to put it back in.
Oh.
So what are the odds I end up with a parking ticket today?
Hopefully, if you gave them, when we first came into the building, I remember I think
they have my
license plate number.
I hope so.
So they can check that.
Also, it's the same guy out there every morning, like, dude, you see my truck every day. Let me slide one time, so we'll see. I'll have a review on that on Monday.
I don't think they're too worried about us morning crew.
I hope. There's only two of us here, man.
Well, it hasn't mattered until our neighbors on the third
our new neighbors
floor
don't work
in.
Friday. They're not. None of them are here Friday.
Well, there you go.
We got an empty parking lot. We should be okay. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We do have a lot to get to today. It is a busy Friday. We're going to power through this bad boy. Somebody asking.
We got a lot of help today.
We do. What Sprague's Hood to Coast team name is? I believe it's No Regrets.
No Regrets.
No Regrets from We're the Millers. If anybody's seen that movie, that's the joke. That is his team name. So we're hoping to catch in. When do they start running? Is it like last night at midnight?
It's all staggered.
Because he's the fourth runner on his team.
He's leg 4. I think his team was leaving sometime in the 5 o'clock hour.
Okay.
So
he has not run yet. His first run's supposed to be around 7 a.m.
Yes.
That's the estimated time.
I will text him probably in the last segment of this hour.
Okay. We'll see if he wants to hop on.
To see if he has service.
Box number 1, and then we go to will he.
And then I'll try to call him at some point, see where he is.
Yeah, we'll get a live update.
Expected to run.
Live update halfway through wherever he is. He's claiming he's not a huffer and puffer. I hate talking when I run, but that's also a fat guy thing.
At the pace he described to me, he's not full out exerting himself.
I'd imagine leg 1, you want to kind of ease into it. You don't want to kill yourself on leg 1.
It's a casual jog.
It's like the idea of going on a boys' golf trip or a boys' trip or a bachelor party trip. The key is to not burn yourself out the first night, because then at this age you can't do it the rest of the weekend.
Right.
And you're playing catch up the rest of the time. So
You're
I
not
would
playing
imagine
36 the minute you show up.
No, and then drinking a bottle of scotch that night and waking up feeling like hell the next day.
No.
You got to ease into the trip.
That's right.
So I'd imagine leg 1 there's a little bit of jogging involved.
Well, and it's mostly downhill, so you're trying not to kill your knees.
That's right. Don't blow out a knee, Sprague, if you're listening. If there are any Hood to Coast listeners, or runners listening to the show, good morning to you. Hopefully we get and power you through your run. We have a lot of football to talk about. As Swag mentioned, we got a lot of help. Will Ortner is going to join us at 6:30.
Yeah.
That Will Ortner. He now covers the Seahawks.
He covers the Seahawks
in Dallas. That makes sense, but that's what he's doing.
But he went there to cover the Falcons initially.
Yes.
And now he's covering the Seahawks in Dallas.
Yes, he is. He lives in Dallas. He moved on to greener pastures from us, but we love checking in with him. Ortner's a good dude, and so we'll chat with him at 6:30. Sprague potentially in the 7 a.m. hour.
Yes.
If he has service, we'll get his gambling picks and check in on his run.
That's right. We got to Sprague.
This is our last dress rehearsal. Next week, the records
count. We have some
count.
true live college football games to wager on. We'll have to go find lines. Maybe we'll go back to A-Lene.
You could go to A-Lene lines for this weekend. I'm okay with that for week 0. We'll pull them up. I already got my picks ready to go. Lines be damned. I don't care what the difference is.
I do not. I'm gonna wing this. Totally wing it.
Okay. I got word on one team in Ireland that's not feeling great about their chances, and I'm going to be gambling the other side.
Too much haggis? I guess that's Scotland. That's not Ireland.
No, it's different. Too much Guinness, maybe?
Too much Guinness,
Too much Guinness over there. I did see fun anecdote, and then we'll go, I promise, and then I'll tease the rest of the show as I go Doug with a ball, squirrel. Did you see there was a bar in Ireland who is clearly trying to gear up for hosting all these Heartland college football fans who were coming over to watch their teams play? and they clearly don't know anything about college football, but it's like a sports bar over in Ireland.
Right.
And so they Googled Iowa State flag, which the Iowa State Cyclone flag showed up.
Okay.
So that one worked for them.
So that one worked.
And then they ordered a Kansas State flag.
Okay.
But it showed up as the flag of the state of Kansas.
Oh.
So there was this picture that went viral yesterday of the Iowa State Cyclone flag flying in front of a bar like, hey, Cyclone fan, come on in. And then they just typed in clearly Kansas State flag, and it was
what
the state.
What is on the Kansas State flag?
It wasn't that different in terms of colors.
A plant or a bird?
I couldn't get a full look at
it.
Let's take a look at the Kansas State flag. But it was funny. Kansas State fans were taking pictures of it saying, oh, that's okay. That's what we're doing here today. All right. State of Kansas flag. Let's see. I mean, it's blue. It's got a little circle. There's a flower on it. It says Kansas on the bottom and yellow writing.
Okay.
The color scheme's not that far off, but clearly not a Wildcat flag.
Clearly
and maybe,
not purple and light purple.
Not purple. And that might be the chip on the shoulder they need going into this game. The
Okay.
disrespect against Iowa State.
Gotcha.
We'll see. We'll Sprague the line today. Bill Connelly at 8:30 will join us. We'll talk all things college football with him. We're going to blow out some stuff and make sure that's a long interview. And then Mike Jorgensson, Oregon is up today on the the Dirty Poll.
Number 6.
Number 6 in the Dirty Poll. And Mike Jorgensson, the color analyst of the Ducks, will join us at 9 a.m. And so we got a full loaded show.
All right.
The SEC doing something we've been asking them to do forever. We got a potential new deal between Major League Baseball and ESPN. Do we like this idea from NBC? It's loaded, man. Let's start in the world of football. And one coach who should probably sit this one out. Let's begin there on a Friday. Thanks for being with us. Getting going. Dirt and Sprague here, 105.1 FM The Fan.
a.m.
That's right. Happy Friday, everybody. First football Friday of the year. Welcome back in. 621. Sprague here on 105.1 FM The Fan. No Sprague today. He's running the hood to coast. We'll see if we can check in with him in an hour. We'll talk to Will Ortner in a bit. The Seahawks play their final preseason game tomorrow night.
Yeah, apparently Jalen Milroe's going to get the whole game.
Getting every snap, man. Getting every snap. So we'll check in. Gray Zabel fever. Are we putting him in Canton yet? Are we splitting running back duties? Will Ortner, our former coworker, now covers the Seahawks and for Chat Sports, and he will join us coming up here in 10 minutes. You alerted to me to something yesterday. We got a lot to get to today. It's going to be a busy show. All of a sudden, as the day went on, I'm like, man, 4-hour solo show. We'll see how this all goes. Get some guests. And I'm like, oh, that's a big news item. Oh, that's a big news item.
Yeah, we're going to have to, we're squirrel watching today.
Yes, we are. We'll see if anything else breaks there in the middle of the show. This came out, though, yesterday, and you alerted me to it, and I was like, did he really? He did say that. Okay. Let's parcel through this one. So recently, Michigan was handed down a punishment by the NCAA for their cheating scandal under Connor Stallions, right? Punishment. A lot of money is essentially the punishment.
Are they actually getting fined, or they're just not getting future money? That part I couldn't figure out.
I do not know if they have to give the money to. Well, my other thing too is like if you give the money to the NCAA, where does that go?
Yeah, I don't know.
If you spend it, if you're fined $20 million,
if you get fines like in the NFL or the Major League Baseball, usually it goes then into their charity, whatever they donate to charities throughout.
There's
the
a little
year.
Pool of money that they give away,
so
and that's where it goes.
That stuff goes there. So it's actually being put to use, but the money changes hands and gets used somewhere.
Right. So I don't know where the money goes. I don't know if it's a take away of future earnings or if it's an actual you owe us $20 million now, Michigan. Yeah. I don't know how that works. But they got, all these punishments handed down. People are upset that it wasn't more. And I get it. The NCAA as an institution just doesn't have any teeth anymore. And we cannot compare these to past punishments because they don't have the same leverage that they used to have. And one of the punishments that was involved in this was a punishment for Jim Harbaugh, who is now the head coach of the LA Chargers. And he was handed down, what was it, a 10-year show cause penalty, I believe?
Yeah, and I think they did it that long because they know he's not coming back or trying to come back anytime soon.
No, so he's next 10 years he's not coaching in college
somehow football. If, it doesn't work out with the Chargers and 5-6 years down the road, they decide, this isn't working, let's move on. He wants to come back. They still have he still has to go before the board.
Right, get approval.
If the NCAA exists
if it even exists anymore at that point. Somebody jumped into the debate on this topic and said, hey, we're not taking this far enough.
Yeah, I didn't think this whole scenario could get more ridiculous till I saw this.
And that individual is none other than the
bastion of integrity and leadership.
Guy who's never done anything questionable in his life, never had any questionable players, didn't fake health issues to retire from jobs because NCAA sanctions might be coming down, didn't allow an assistant coach to beat the crap out of his wife and then cover it up and then pretend he had back pain to retire again.
Didn't have co-eds half his age, sitting on his knee, avoiding team flights.
Well, he's coaching in the NFL. That would be the one and only Urban Meyer. Hello, Urban Meyer. Welcome to the chat. Yes. Welcome into the conversation.
Former professor of leadership and something else at Ohio State.
He's a class individual right there, that Urban Meyer. And of all the people who are unbiased with an opinion on this take, Urban Meyer has to be the most unbiased. And Urban, what do you make of this? He went on the Triple Option podcast this week and he said, quote, "There's an elephant in the room that no one's talking about." When Jim Tressel was fired by Ohio State and he was given a suspension, Roger Goodell, commissioner of the National Football League, came out and said, we're going to honor that suspension. He went to Indianapolis to work in their replay room, the Colts, that is. The Colts, because of the respect they had for the NCAA and the suspension, suspended Jim Tressel so he was unable to perform his duties for the first 6 games of the year. That's what Jim Tressel was suspended when he was suspended for 6 games when he was fired. Ultimately, I think it was a 6-game show cause or whatever. So the Colts fired him for the first 6 games of the year. He was a video analyst. He was not the head coach of the football team. I think the Colts are okay without Jim Tressel for 6 weeks sitting in a video room watching film. Slightly different apples to oranges comparison here, Urban. One, Jim Harbaugh is the head coach of an NFL team. And are you asking for him to be suspended for 10 years?
Well, he already served his suspension.
He did when he was at Michigan.
When he was at Michigan.
He missed, 8 games or whatever ended up being?
6 or something.
The year they won the national championship? Because he was suspended, I want to say, for the first 4 games of the year.
It was 3 or 4, and then they tacked on a couple more at the end.
Because he didn't coach in the Ohio State game, and he didn't coach in the Penn State game. Or the Big Ten title game.
Yeah.
So he was suspended for the majority of his last season when he was at Michigan. Look, this has always been a weird thing. Like, I remember way back in the day, Younger Dirt even making this point for, like a USC. When USC was one of the last places that had truly got the hammer dropped on them by the NCAA.
Because they had actual hard, tangible evidence.
They did, and it was a different time, and the NCAA could do stuff like that, right? And their strength or death grip, if you will, over programs over the last 15 to 20 years has slowly waned. So even if you had more evidence on Stallions, like, you don't want to piss these institutions off because you need these institutions.
Yep.
And they are 1 foot out the door of saying, we're going to do our own thing, NCAA. We don't need you anymore anyways. And so you got to walk on very thin ice. I understand the point in terms of it's always been a weird result to some sort of cheating scandal that the coaches who are left and the players that are left end up paying more of the price than
and that's why they're going to fines.
The individual, and that's why you go to fines.
Hit the money, and now the money matters because you're running your NIL stuff through the schools, and which is why, and Pate mentioned it the other day, you're not seeing coaches fired as much early in their contracts because schools can't afford those buyouts.
You got $20 million you got
they're
to pay to your
asking
team
all the
now.
donors to kick in for the NIL budget.
Yeah.
And they're asking them to kick into for the NIL budget so they don't have to take it away because they know they'll get crucified if they start canceling Olympic sports.
Right, exactly.
And Title IX issues. Title IX will back off as long as you don't. If they start canceling the women's crew,
that's the next
and
big challenge to
volleyball
come.
and swimming and diving to keep football going, that's when you're going to get Title IX lawsuits.
And will it uphold? Will Title IX be struck down? I don't know how that's all going to play out. The future is very murky in that regard. I get the point of how does this guy get to skate? Now he's gone. He didn't skate necessarily because he was suspended the last year he was at Michigan for the majority of the season. But the idea of Urban Meyer, of all people, coming, like if Jim Tressel wants to come out and say this, like, hey, wait a minute, my guy's got tattoos, sold team gear for tattoos, and I was fired and suspended for it.
And
like that's all fine and dandy. Right. Of all the people to deliver this message, Urban Meyer is probably the last one anybody wants to hear from in terms of, being an upstanding individual.
Blowhard.
That sounds like Urban Meyer. It's one of the reasons, to be honest with you, that they got this whole war of pregame shows going on of the Big Nooner and College Game Day. It's one of the reasons I'm out on the Big Nooner.
No, I'm out. I want
nothing to do with Urban Meyer.
I'm just tuned, and ESPN's changing. They changed the personalities on the desk and whatever. But no, I find the Fox show to be just. Everybody's up there doing the same thing. At least ESPN has different personalities,
different characters. McAfee singing. You got Kirk Herbstreit, who's the analyst, who's always down the middle.
They do a lot of features, and obviously you missed Tom Rinaldi. He went over to Fox. That's probably the best thing they've got going.
Yeah, you get those feature pieces from him. It's not quite the same. Urban Meyer's a big part of it. Not a great person, and his track record speaks for itself. Maybe sit this one out, Urban. Maybe of all the people to chime in on this, not the best
one.
Not so much. If anybody should have been punished for things that he did at Florida, for the players that he had on that team and what he allowed to transpire.
How many arrests went on while he was there?
His offensive coordinator, I believe, during the time at Ohio State, who beat his wife and then tried to get away with it, and they covered it up. Yeah, not the guy who I would want speaking on this. So there's your Urban Meyer update. Let's get to the Seahawks, who play their final preseason game this weekend, tomorrow night, right here on the Fan.
Tomorrow during the day.
Tomorrow during the day.
1 p.m. kick at Lambeau, 11 a.m.
Go Pack Go, Seahawks
right
tomorrow.
After Sports Saturday.
Look at us, right here on the Fan. Let's talk to Will Ortner, our former co-worker, covering the Seahawks now. Milroe's going to take every snap. What do we make of him in training camp? Is he buying the hype that everybody's putting on the Seahawks based on what they've seen over the last couple of weeks? Do we have a split 1A, 1B running back situation? Will Ortner joins us next. First, your Swag with Sports Center.
Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Brought to you by Mountaintop Metal Roofing. No maintenance, energy efficient, fire resistant, and a lifetime warranty. Do it once, do it right. Visit mountaintopmetalroofing.com. First on the Fan, it is the final week of the NFL preseason. Action continues today with 4 games. 2 will be live on television, both at 5 o'clock on Coin 6. Titans hosting the Vikings, Tennessee 3.5-point favorites. On the NFL Network, it's the Cowboys hosting the Falcons, Dallas 2.5-point favorites. Don't expect any starters, especially at quarterback, to see the field there. Thursday night, we saw no starting quarterbacks getting reps. The Giants did beat the Patriots 42-10. The Steelers topped the Panthers 19-10. Of note in Pittsburgh, former Duck defensive tackle Derek Harmon left that game in the second quarter. There was concern with his knee, but afterwards said it's only a sprain. His status for week 1 unknown. Seahawks wrap up their preseason schedule Saturday morning right here on the Fan. Rookie quarterback Jalen Milroe expected to play the entire game against the Packers. Kickoff set for 1 p.m. Our pregame coverage starts at 11 a.m. Round 2 of the PGA's Tour Championship getting an early start at East Lake. Potential weather this afternoon. Everybody chasing Russell Henley after a 9-under 61 in round 1. Scotty Scheffler is alone in second at 7 under par. They will tee off about 7:45 this morning. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigard from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt, missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The Fan is live on YouTube. sports, some stories can slip through the cracks.
Now, before we do this, let's go over the ground rules.
Pelican Brewing presents the Daily Ticker, where Dirt and Sprague hit the big stories you've heard about, and some you haven't.
How'd you do that? Actually, I'm not even mad. It's amazing.
The Daily Ticker on the Fan is poured by Pelican Brewing. Experience your hops differently with Hard Hops Blackberry Hops Infused Hard Seltzers.
All right, Daily Ticker time a little bit earlier today, brought to you as always by our wonderful friends at Pelican Brewing. They crack open today's Daily Ticker with Pelicano. Discover Pelican's summer seasonal cerveza and drink in refreshment. I could say undoubtedly, unquestionably, Pelicano is my favorite Pelican beer of all time. I could pound those things like nobody's business. You know who else can pound a couple of beers every now and then? Our friend Will Ortner, now down in Dallas covering the Seattle Seahawks for Chat Sports. At Will Ortner on Twitter. Go give him a follow. Big Will, what's going on? Good morning. How's life in the Big D?
It's not too bad, man. I found my first, I guess I should say I stumbled into my first speakeasy last night. It took me probably 20 minutes to actually get in. There was a secret knock, which I did appreciate.
Okay.
They need to get some Pelicanos over there. No Pelicanos, unfortunately, in the speakeasy. Otherwise, it was darn near perfect.
Okay, 9 out of 10. No Pelicanos makes it a 9 out of 10, but knowing a secret knock to get into a place to booze is pretty cool. We don't have a lot of those around here, so I'll give you a thumbs up on that one. Are you buying the hype that is seemingly mounting around this Seahawks team? They have become quite the conversation in training camp with the way the offensive line is played, the running the ball. Everybody's buying Seahawks stock right now. Is Will Ortner one of them?
Oh, 100%. But I was also buying Seahawks stock back in May before it was cool.
Oh.
You know, when you go out and you have an efficient first drive where you have all your starters in on that offensive side, say for Cross and Walker because they were both hurt, and you absolutely run it down Kansas City's throat. Sam Darnold was perfect. It feels like right now that run game, the O-line has fixed a lot of the issues they've had in the last couple of years. Now, again, it is preseason, probably should pump my brakes a little bit. But when you are road grading the way that they were and just getting 7-8 yards a pop and then having big runs, it sets up the passing game so much easier. Play-action passes where Darnold really thrives. I don't know if it's just because Darnold struggled in the last two games last year with Minnesota that it completely flipped, and now we talk about Geno Smith being clearly better than him. I would vastly disagree with that. So I think they're a pretty similar QB, and now you're telling me that the O-line is better than it was the year before. You're telling me that the running back room is deeper and stronger than it was the year before. And you have a better offensive scheme from we're going to mirror our run game to our pass game. So when we actually do run a play action pass, defenses get fooled every once in a while. I think it's a better scheme. It's a better game plan. And right now I think there are better players in the trenches, and that's always going to be a good thing for a team trying to win a lot of football games.
Yeah, it's kind of the MO of a Kubiak offense, right? I love the point on Darnold in play action. If they can run the ball, his life's going to be so much easier than it would have been, because I think that was the concern about how does he handle pressure, especially up the middle, and he hasn't been great at that in times in his career. Seems like that won't be the case this year. We're talking with Will Ortner, Chat Sports. Now, before I get too far into the interview, where do you do, like, if you're a Seahawks fan, first go follow Will because he's pumping out content left and right. Where do people find you? What are you doing down there? Like, explain to the people who don't know.
Yeah, so I've got my hand in a couple of different things. So if you want to go and watch the show and the videos, you head on over to Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. It's going to be on YouTube. You can join all your fellow 12s. Now, the cool thing is I'm going to have video content coming out pretty much every single day of the week, either in like a YouTube short you can watch when you're doom scrolling right before you go to bed or right when you get up. Come on, we all do it. We're all on TikTok, Instagram.
Don't forget pooping
YouTube
time.
shorts.
Don't forget pooping time scrolling. That's my key scrolling
That's right.
time.
I think that's where probably my last 1,000 views came from, was just dudes on the can
That's right.
scrolling through. And then I also do longer form videos where you're going to get injury updates, you're going to get news updates, but then you're also going to get, the old-fashioned hot take coming out of me every once in a while. And then the real fun thing that I think a lot of fans can get behind is when there is a Seahawks game day. So the Seahawks are taking on the Packers. It's going to be at 1 o'clock your guys' time. I'm going to go live on YouTube at 12 o'clock. So we'll have an hour tailgate, and then you can watch the game with me. You can talk with me. I'll be on air with my good buddy Colin Brown, another Texas Seahawks 12's big fan. So You can tune in. We're going to be partying, and it's a grand old time. If you want to have a beverage with us, you can have a beverage with us. Usually there's some sort of punishment that goes along. We have a great time. It's a lot of fun, and a lot of the people that are interacting with us in the comments seem to have a good time as well. So those are going to be going on every single Seahawks game day. I'll be on at least an hour before the game, and I'll take you all the way through until the very finish.
Okay, that's where you find it, at Will Ortner on Twitter. Now let's get to the running back position, Will, because this is becoming a conversation after what we've seen in the preseason of, is it a 1A, 1B? Is it a 1 and a 1? Is there a 1 and a 2? Like, how do we look at that position right now? It's a good problem to have. You want to have more, two guys. It's not like a quarterback where you say if you got two, you don't have one. So I'm sure they're thrilled. How do you see the breakdown of carries going in the split between Charbonnet and Walker?
I think there was a lot of people jumping on, especially once Brock Heward said, like, hey, Charbonnet has to be the starter, that it was like, oh, well, now Kenneth Walker's the backup. I think with Walker starting with the ones at joint practice yesterday against the Packers kind of shows you that clearly that's not where Seattle views it. I worry about Walker missing as much time as he did in training camp, and last year missing 6 games. Once you start getting hurt at that running back position, you don't really stop getting hurt. It's rare that you'd have a running back that has a year where they get banged up and then they're healthy again the rest of their career, right? I think you need to split carries. In my personal opinion, Charbonnet has clearly proved that he can be a starter in the NFL, but Kenneth Walker has also had multiple years where he's been a very good starter. I mean, remember, we were talking at one point about him being a potential top 10, top 8, top 6 running back in the league when Pete Carroll was over there, and they were running the football consistently. Now you get an offensive scheme and style with Kubiak that's going to fit more into that run game, unlike where Grubb was throwing the ball 50 times a game. I think, though, for the longevity of both players, give them 50-50 split, right? So if you're going to make sure that Walker gets 15 touches, get Charbonnet 15 touches. One, I think it breeds more competition between two very competitive guys. They're going to be pushing each other, that old iron sharpens iron type of model, but it's also going to keep both of them healthier. Like, if Kenneth Walker's already starting to get beat up, well, Charbonnet is only a year behind him, right? Running backs take a lot of hits in the NFL, and I think that the Detroit Lions have proven that you can have two premier backs and still split carries and split touches if you're smart about how, they get the ball. Montgomery is more of your inside zone. He's going to run between the A-gaps. He's going to be more physical, more bruising. And then Jahmyr Gibbs, they're going to get it to him more on the outside. They're going to involve him more in the passing game, catching the ball out of the backfield. Use Walker and Charbonnet to do that same exact thing. I think it keeps them both healthier throughout the year. I think it keeps them fresher throughout the year. And I think when you have two competitive dogs like that, they're just going to continue to push themselves to the next level. I think it's better for the team as a whole.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% there. Last one for you, buddy. Final preseason game. You mentioned you'll be, pregame starting an hour before, having some fun watching it. I think everybody's to the point now where we're just, desperate for real football. But in this case, you get Milroe taking every snap, so that's something to watch. Other than that, anything stand out about the game tomorrow at Lambeau that you're excited for?
Yeah, I think there's some fun positional matchups to watch. I'm excited, obviously, about Milroe. Did a video about the difference between the growth in Anthony Richardson and Milroe. I think that the Colts vastly mismanaged Anthony Richardson. When you look at the two players, they are kind of similar mold out of college. Now, Milroe had a little bit more experience and more time, but, hey, they're both raw QB talents. If you give them time in the NFL in the right system with the right coaches, maybe they can turn into something. That's not saying that Milroe is going to turn into something. That's not saying that, Milroe can't still turn into Anthony Richardson, where, hey, it was a failed experiment. But at least it feels like Seattle, they have a plan for his growth. So I'm excited to see how he does in the entire game. On the D-line, the Jared Ivey kid out at Ole Miss, I'm very intrigued with what they do. He seems like someone who might make the 53-man roster, not necessarily because he's ready yet for it, but because if you cut him, you're not going to get him on the practice squad. He's a 6'6" defensive lineman. He's strong. He's physical. He was a great player at Ole Miss. He was an all-SEC type of kid. He's got some room to grow, so I'd like to watch that. I'm interested in what they're going to do at the wide receiver room. I want them to trade Marcus Valdez-Scantling. I think that there is a market out there for fast receivers. I understand that he's a little bit older than Sky Moore. He also has a lot more production than Sky Moore, and I don't know that he necessarily fits on this team. Now that you have Torrey Horton, who's a younger frankly, I think a better version of him. And I think that you could keep players like Jake Bobo and Derek Young because they're going to do more things, right? Like MVS came in, hey, he's going to be a punt returner, kick returner, and he's going to be your deep threat. Well, Torrey Horton's taken all of those over. So what's the point of keeping him? Keep Bobo, keep Derek Young, where you're also going to get guys who play on 4 different special teams. So I'll be interested to see if Derek Young can continue to push forward just like Jake Bobo did last week. And I think Bobo earned a spot with the team. I hope that Derek Young can do the same thing. And then hopefully Seattle can get, halfway decent, a third-day round pick return for MVS on the back end. But those are really kind of the main things. There's some other fun stories. Alfonso Tupatala is a local Federal Way kid, was a UW Husky. Obviously, I know you don't love that dirt, but I do always root for the local guys, so hopefully he can make the squad. Otherwise, you might as well tune in with your buddies or tune in with me over at Chat Sports Seahawks Today and just have fun. And who knows, maybe we'll have a beer or two.
There you go. Will Ortner, great stuff. The host of Seahawks Today, Chat Sports. He has 68,000 subscribers on YouTube. 69 would be nice.
69.
You got to 69?
Got to 69 this morning.
Attaboy.
That's right.
Keep killing it. Go give him a follow on Twitter at Will Ortner. Continued success, buddy. Enjoy the speakeasies and stay in touch. We'll catch up again soon.
Of course, thanks. I always love listening to the show, although it does feel weird hearing it's 6:02 in the Rose City at 8:02 in Texas.
I love it. Thanks, buddy. There's Will Ortner covering the Seahawks. Somebody asked him, wait a minute, Will doesn't work at the Fan anymore? No, he does not. Will moved on. I'm always like, I never know how much we can talk about this stuff when guys make decisions to leave. It's like, is it public knowledge? So I actually didn't even get a chance to say goodbye to him. Will's a good dude, man, and I'll get to this. We went a little long there. We'll get to it on the other side because I do have a couple other NFL things I want to talk about, including a tough injury that transpired last night in preseason. So we're going into the final week of preseason football. A couple storylines out of that. Tough injury news. That is coming up next. The Daily Ticker, as always, brought to you by our wonderful friends at Pelican Brewing. They crack open today's Daily Ticker with a Pelicano. Discover Pelican Summer Seasonal Cerveza and drink in refreshment. It is my favorite beer, maybe ever. Go get a Pelicano. A couple NFL thoughts next. 105.1 FM, The Fan.
a.m.
All right, not a lot of time here, so I'll kick the NFL stuff down a little bit later on in the show. Somebody asked me, Will Ortner doesn't work here anymore. No, Will Ortner has moved on. He lives in Dallas, Texas, and he covers the Seattle Seahawks
Exactly, because that makes sense.
That's the way modern media works, right? They have a little studio set up down there, and they want all their people, and they, come be in-house, and you cover your team from here, and you got all our equipment, and you're just going to live in Dallas and cover that team. I do want to give him we didn't talk about it when he left because I never know when this stuff is like public knowledge and when can we say things and all that. Dude, kudos to Will Ortner, one who worked his way up the ladder here and became a key figure on our station. We're going to miss him desperately. But also, like, we tell this to young people in the industry all the time. You have to be willing to, one, be aggressive and be move. Like, if you want to truly make a career out of this, it rarely happens. Sprague and I, you included, like, not many people get the opportunity to just kind of stick at one place for a long time. It's very rare.
And my story is different because I was 30 and had worked in business and made a move, and I had a young kid and family, and there were other concerns.
Yes.
Because I had a couple opportunities very early on to go follow some people some other places.
And that's the thing. Once you have a family, you're tied down. Like, you're not going to be willing to make that same move to somewhere else.
I tell all the young people, it's like, look, if you want to wait it out here and you have the means to do it, and this is home and whatever, okay.
That's fine.
But if you're expecting stuff to happen, quickly, no.
Never happens that way, right? And some people wait around and they miss their opportunity. So I remember him talking about this to us months ago, like, hey, I got this opportunity. What do you guys think? And we're like, dude, do it. Go do it. Get reps. Stay fresh. It's
Let him
putting
know
another
here.
thing on your resume. Like,
you never know.
Dude,
just say, hey, I got this opportunity. Is there anything I should consider before I make a decision?
So kudos to Will for having the balls to do that. Wanted to give him a shout out there because we didn't talk about it when he left. One other quick note, too. We're doing these dirty poll hits, previewing college football, and they're always fun, kind of a look in. I've been doing some of them around the country for other shows who do Oregon ones. I made a radio host in Omaha, Nebraska really uncomfortable yesterday.
What'd you do?
Now, you can be the judge here. They brought me on. They played a highlight package of Duck touchdowns from last year as like the intro, and I'm like, that's a nice touch for the interview segment. So I'm waiting on hold, and I'm hearing, Gabriel touchdown, Stewart touchdown, Jordan James touchdown. And I'm like, it's kind of revving my engine. This is getting me ready for college football. And they brought me on. They said, Dirt, how you doing today? And I said, I'm doing great. Thanks for the afternoon chub.
Oh.
And that wasn't quite as well received as I thought it was going to be.
You're in the heartland of America.
The heartland doesn't joke like that? Is that a West Coast thing? I thought that would fly. I didn't use the B word.
I wouldn't have led with that.
I figured I'd announce my presence with authority.
I would have kind of seen where the conversation was going with my hosts, and maybe as a parting shot.
Sure. By the way, thanks for the...
I don't think I would have led with
right
that.
Out of the gate. Yeah, it's probably fair. Fair criticism. I'll take it.
You're getting me all fired up. We expect a lot more of that coming up from Jerry this season.
Like, hey, touchdown, touch this. Ooh, all right, I'm getting excited over here. So I made a host in Omaha very uncomfortable previewing the Oregon Ducks in the Heartland yesterday. Speaking of college football, let's start the second hour there. Sprague's going to join us at some time, hopefully in the next 20, 30 minutes. We'll send him a text.
I got to send him a text.
We'll see if he responds. He's running hood to coast, trying to avoid the hill tribes of Vernonia right now. So we'll see if he can make it on. And if he has service to call in, we'll have some fun with him and chat in the middle of his run. He's one of those kind of obnoxious, in shape people who doesn't huff and puff when he runs, and so I'm going to make fun of him for that when he kind of losers in shape like that. Let's start, though, in college football, where something happened yesterday we've been asking for a long time. Finally a win for fans. Now, what's next? That's where I want to start. Second hour, Dirt and Sprague, 105.1 FM, The Fan.
When you've got real work to do, Metal Supermarket
Brought to you by CarSolve. Start a dealership bidding war and get the most money possible for your vehicle. Call carsolve.com. First on the Fan, the last week of NFL preseason action continues tonight. 4 games in all. 2 will be live at 5 o'clock on Coin 6. The Titans hosting the Vikings. Tennessee 3.5-point favorites there on the NFL Network. The Cowboys will host the Falcons. Dallas 2.5-point favorites. We didn't see hardly any starters getting reps on the Thursday night games. Of note, though, in that Pittsburgh 19-10 win over the Panthers, we saw former Ducks defensive tackle, first-round pick Derek Harmon leave in the second quarter with a knee injury. After the game, head coach Mike Tomlin said it's only a sprain. They're going to do some further tests. His Week 1 stat is still up in the air. College football news. The SEC announced they will move to a 9-game conference schedule starting in 2026. They will also keep the requirement that they have to play at least one non-conference Power 4 game as well. Round 2 of the PGA Tour Championship underway from East Lake. Rory McIlroy is on the course, birdied his first hole. He's at 5 under, 4 back of Russell Henley, who had a 2-shot lead after round 1 at 9 under. He's paired with Scotty Scheffler at 7 under in the final group at 7:45. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigard from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt, missing work. Insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The home
Hey, welcome back in. Hour number 2. Happy Football Friday to you. 105.1 FM The Fan, the Odyssey app, live on YouTube. Good morning, everybody. Hope your Fridays are off to a great start. We got a lot to get to in the next 3 hours of the radio program. Bill Connelly is going to join us coming up at 8:30. Mike Jorgensson is going to join us in the final hour at 9 a.m. for our Ducks preview. They're up next on the Dirty Poll. We'll get a preview of the number 6 Oregon Ducks going into the season. Probably go a little bit long on both those interviews, so we'll have some fun with that. Sprague the Line, of course, at 9:30. It is the final dry run of Sprague the Line. This is it. We got one more run. Next week the games count, but we have actual games to gamble on this weekend if you're so inclined, and we will do that coming up at 9:30. So your fake sponsors are welcome at the Fan Text line, 503-864-6326. Do we have him on the horn? Are we getting him on the...
Oh, you want me to... Okay,
I think
we'll dial him up.
So we sent
Let's
Sprague a text. We'll see how this goes. We sent him a text to see if he was ready. He said, you can call me now. He's got a little gap in coverage. He's just, I believe, beginning his first leg of the Hood to Coast. So we'll check in with Sprague, get some bets from him for this weekend. Let's set up the rest of the show, what's coming up. I teased some NFL notes to get to, some tough injury news for guys yesterday, a couple of local products. So we'll get to that at some point. One coach not wanting to play a quarterback in preseason that we've spent way too much time talking about, but again, put themselves in the news based on that decision. So that's coming up at some point. And where I was going to start the final hour, or excuse me, the second hour, before we found out Sprague was ready to go, massive news in the college football world yesterday. Massive. And I think the last handful of years have been really tough for fans, obviously for different reasons. But one of the things that we mostly share in common is I think a lot of decisions and conclusions have been met with never considering what the impact is on the fan. And the outcome hasn't been necessarily great for the people that matter the most in the sport, and that is the people that make it the business that it is, and that's all of us psychos that sit down and watch it week in and week out. And there had been a trend recently in the sport that was troubling to me, to say the least, and something that I didn't think benefited anybody. And so massive news in the college football world yesterday that I'm hoping kind of sparks a a reverse of course, if you will, on the direction that we're going overall and the kind of sport that college football will be in the years to come. So we'll get to that. I was going to get to it here, but since Sprague's ready, we'll get to that coming up about 10 minutes from now. I got a couple other college football odds and ends, including travel times for this year, a head coach launching a podcast. Does that make you feel good if your head coach launches a podcast going into the season? We'll talk about that. So tons to get to, including a full primer and preview of week 0, because we got actual college football games tomorrow. I'm very excited for them. So that will be basically what's coming up here in the next 3 hours of the show. Joining us now, live on the hills of Vernonia, is one Brandon Sprague. where are we at, Sprague? How we doing?
We're at the bottom, almost coming down. We just passed government camp.
Ooh.
And we're almost to the Dairy Queen.
Ooh.
Just about rhododendron level. Andy Deuce Johnson, good to be on with you.
It's good to hear from you. I'm glad you're doing okay. The hill tribes of the mountains have not killed you yet. Can you stop in and give me an ice cream cone at Dairy Queen? That'd be great.
I knew your fat ass would ask that question. I knew you'd be like, hey, give me a blizzard.
Give me a blizzard, dude. A blizzard sounds good right now. Maybe a double cheeseburger. Doesn't that sound good in the middle of your run? Now, how far into how long is the first leg? Well, give me like a status update. How far into it are we?
So I'm not going to lie. Last year I did the hardest leg.
Okay.
And being 37, 38, I was like, you know what? That was an experience. Third time I ever did it. This year I'm going easy leg. First leg about 4 miles flat.
Okay.
4 miles flat.
So no ups and no downs, flat leg. Are we a mile into it, 2 miles into it? How much more do we have to go? What's our pace at right now?
See, I'm a runner that doesn't want to know, but I know I'm past a mile, so I might be close to 2.
Okay.
Or I might not be.
So you just do the, I don't know, you just run until it's whatever, you see a change and then you just hand the thing over. You don't want to know how far into the run you are?
I'm like Denny Abdi on a fast break. Get ball, go ball. Get ball, go ball. Sometimes we don't do the right things, but ultimately, get ball, go ball.
All right. Well, I'm glad we're off to a good start. We're getting the ball. We're going the ball. Maybe a mile in. Let's get some picks from you for this weekend, buddy. We got 3 college football games going on tomorrow that actually count. Who do we like in the middle of our Hood to Coast run?
Okay, you're going to have to give me lines. Okay, give me the lines.
Okay. All right, tomorrow, first up, I'm just going to pull up ESPN lines. First game up, we all know, Kansas State, Iowa State over in Ireland. Kansas State, the line is moved, according to ESPN, to a field goal flat. No hook, -3 K-State.
I lost the hook.
You lost the hook. No more hook. Not 2.5 anymore. It might go up to 3.5, but it's only at 3 right now.
If you get to 3.5, take Iowa State.
Ooh.
But I'm going to take Iowa State anyway and say that's a push number.
Ooh.
Ugly football in Ireland. Remember, European NFL games, they can be ugly, unpredictable. And I think that's what we're going to get in this game.
I've never middle of the Hood to Coast picks is pretty solid. This might have to be a new bit. We'll just send you to go run laps around the building when we do Sprague in the line.
I think I just passed the listener.
Oh, did you really? Yeah, people have been asking what your team name is. I told them no regrets. Can you track team names in an app or something? How do people do that?
I don't know how to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, team No Regrets with R-A, not a single letter.
Right, not a single
no
letter.
Regret.
All right, next up, 3:30 on Fox. Kansas is hosting with the wheat in the end zone, as I incorrectly said corn the other day, and a Kansas person got very upset with me. Kansas is hosting Fresno State at home, -13 against your future Pac-12 brethren.
Yeah, I want to root for Fresno State here, the Fighting Tedfords. But E.J. Warner's first game, I got Jalen Daniels. I think Kansas corrects their early season woes. I'm going Kansas, Big Wood.
Okay.
Give me the Kevin Todd. Lay in the Big Wood, baby. Rock top, Jayhawk.
Hold on, let me find it. Where is that?
Today I'm laying the Big Wood.
Thank you, Swag.
The Big Wood's still in
baby.
here?
Let's go.
He's got the Big Wood. He's running around with some Big Wood around the Dairy Queen, going to the Rhododendron Garden, hanging out there. So go say what up to Sprague's Big Wood. Last but not least, 4:30. Now you'll be able to at least watch. But you'll probably make it home for at least the Fresno State Kansas game. But last one of the night, Stanford and the Fighting Andrew Lucks and the Big Trees are on the road at Hawaii. Hawaii at home in their high school stadium is favored by 2.5 in this game.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Fighting Timmy Chang. Love your stadium. I love the island. Aloha, my bras. I'm going to go stand for the Fighting Go Branson. Hawaii has a virus, dirt. Don't worry. Dr. Go Branson will fix it.
It's so good.
Stanford on the road. Oh.
There you go. Sprague's on Stanford, Kansas, and Iowa State in the week 0 in our final dress rehearsal of Sprague in the line. We'll write down the picks. We got Sprague's picks in. Well, good luck, buddy. So this is leg 1. You got 3 more legs to go?
2 more legs. 2 more legs.
Oh, you only run 3 legs? I thought it was 4.
Oh.
Oh. Hey, candy ass. Run a fourth leg. Get to the beach and run another leg, all right? Order a medium pizza and run another leg while you're out there.
I'll order 2, buddy. I'll order 2.
Sounds like some cars are going by. We'll let you get back to your run. Good luck. Best of luck rest of the way. Tell the team in the van, everybody who I know, I say hi. If you see any listeners, tell them I say hi, and we'll see you on Monday.
All right, buddy. Thanks for doing the show.
There you go, Brandon Sprague. Live somewhere around Dairy Queen, running down from government camp on the Hood Coast. Oh, to be able to talk. I remember when I was in college, I had a buddy who tried to get me into running. He was a big, long-distance runner. He was like, come on, Dirt, let's do this. We're going to go for some runs together. Shout out Jake. I love you, buddy. But he was like an actual distance runner and like in good shape. And I'm like, dude, I'm going 4 miles and I'm tapping out. That's all I got. And the worst part about it was the entire time he wanted to have he wanted to talk the whole time. And I'm like, dude, I'm out of shape. I can't do that. I'm huffing and I'm just trying to focus on putting one foot in front of the other. And you're asking me to have a conversation right now? It's not happening, dude. No. I'm trying to just control my breathing so I don't keel over and die halfway through this thing.
No.
So the running and talking thing, I can't do. So
I did that
more power to you.
I ran cross country in high school.
You're a big cross country guy.
We'd show up and the coach is like, all right, you're running the lake today. So if the entire lake is somewhere around 7 miles.
Okay. To go all the way around it?
All the way around it.
That's a nice little jog right there.
And it's constantly going up and down and up and down and up and down. So, yeah, that'll wear on you. No, I ran, if anybody remembers the old run between the states when the 205 bridge first opened, they would have I think it was a 12K.
Okay, going over the bridge.
That went over the bridge and back around and up and over.
Okay.
And I remember we got going out way too fast because you were caught up and
you're kind of feeling the energy and the adrenaline and all that.
Yeah. And then we went out fast in the first mile. They're like 5:25, and we're like, uh-oh.
We're going to run out of gas here soon.
I ain't going to make it 7.5 miles.
I got to dial it back. Turn that knob the other direction. That's one of the hardest things I do have whenever I do run outside is that I love treadmill running because it controls your pace perfectly.
Yes.
And I'm not good at that when I run in public because I'm always like, is somebody watching me? Or they're like, God, that guy's running so slow. And somebody drives by, you kind of pick up your pace a little bit. And then I'm like, all right, now I'm more tired. Now I can't even go the distance I wanted to go.
I'll never get back to the days, when I was in high school.
Would you ever do the Hood to Coast?
You could probably talk me into it at some point.
It's got to be planned out far enough in advance. Usually when you're asked, it's like somebody backed out. We need 3 weeks.
We'd have to get back to when I got down to really skinny swag there when I was doing the full weight loss and I got it down to like $175.
Yeah, you were skinny swag. I mean, you still are skinny swag, but you were once skinnier swag.
I got it down there to, it was close to $170.
And you started eating pork again, baby.
And then I started eating, carbs again. Like it was no carb there for a while.
No, you got very skinny.
And
like we almost couldn't see you.
That was hard to maintain.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, you look fine now, right? You're still down from where you were before.
I need to work out more consistently over this summer.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
Don't we all?
So,
somebody said running is a punishment. Always has been, always will be, especially in sports. I don't understand people who do it for fun.
I can verify, Sprague will tell you too, that runner's high thing they talk about.
Thing. When you're done with
a
run,
real thing. And if you ever get to that point,
feels great when you're done.
It's an amazing thing, and you feel like you can run forever.
Keep your Sprague in the Line sponsors coming in. I'm sure there will be some good Hood to Coast jokes. We just got one that's a pretty good one. So we'll Sprague in the Line coming up at 9:30. We got Sprague's picks. He likes Iowa State, Kansas, and Stanford this weekend.
The A lines are quite different from ESPN.
Oh, okay. So we'll take a look at the A lines.
We can decide what we want to do.
We'll allow it, depending on which direction they swing. Yeah. We'll see where we go with that. So that's coming up at 9:30. Bill Connelly in a little over an hour. Let's stick in college football before we get to our Week 0 primer, which we have to get to because we got actual games this weekend. Man, massive news yesterday that I got very excited about, and I'm hoping it's a new trend in the sport. We'll start diving into that coming up next. 105.1 FM, The Fan. All right, welcome back in. 7:20. Got the Tour Championship on. See if we carve out any time for that today. Maybe we will in the next hour.
They announced their schedule for next year.
Schedule came out for next year. I saw that. Let's keep going to Miami and Texas, and Florida and Texas and California. Why grow the game in new areas where you don't ever play PGA Tour events?
Well, and they're going back to one of
Trump Miami, right?
Doral,
the signature event.
So they added a signature event.
Yeah, I got thoughts on this. I don't know if we'll have time for it today. Maybe I'll call into the golf show hungover tomorrow, and we'll see tomorrow morning. Let's get to, the big news of yesterday, and that was this kind of came out of nowhere. Like there's always been.
I wasn't expecting this one, and I saw it, and I was like, okay.
It kind of started to trickle out in the morning of like there's momentum growing, and whenever you start to see that.
But if you go back to some stories that came out earlier in the week regarding college football and the College Football Playoff Selection Committee, now you start to put the things together.
So that point that Sprague is talking about, we brought it up on the show earlier this week, that the College Football Playoff Committee came out with a revised way that they
enhanced metrics.
There you go. Whatever terminology you want to use. Essentially, layman's terms, strength of schedule is going to matter more going forward. To boil it down, strength of schedule, how hard the teams are that you play, is going to matter more than it used to be. It won't be the end-all, be-all.
Well, and I think
but they're adding a weighted ability to look at that when they put your resumes next to each other.
Yeah, they went from kind of more a straight like algebra formula to like calculus.
Yes, they made it a little more complicated.
So
that was domino number one. Domino number one falls. Strength of schedule matters more. Okay, all of a sudden, then yesterday you get the little scuttlebutt of like, hey, the SEC's inching closer to doing this. And then out of nowhere, it's like, oh, by the way, they're doing it. And what they're doing is the SEC, something that we have been screaming for God knows how many years. As Pac-12 fans, now for me as a Big Ten fan, everybody around the country has pointed them and said, you got to play 9 conference games. What are we doing down there? You got to play 9 conference games. The SEC has always toyed with the idea. It's always been discussed and debated at their AD meetings and their president meetings and their media days and all that stuff. Well, yesterday, finally, the athletic directors met and said, yep, we'll adopt a 9-game conference schedule. And I will say this, there has been a lot of stuff that's happened in the sport over the however many years you want to go back that feel like they are L's for the fans. That doesn't service the fan. It services television contracts and the payment of players, and not everything's been bad, not everything's
Schools
awful.
Making it easier for themselves to get to bowls or paydays or playoffs or whatever.
There's a lot of things that don't benefit the people who ultimately at the end of the day matter the most, because the fans are the ones that make this the billion-dollar business that it is. Our passion and our following and our watching and our talking about it is what makes it the big business that it is. And so at some point, you got to have a little give and take to give fans what they want. And this is something that unquestionably is good for the fans of college football. There has been, we'll get to some of the details on how it's going to look in a second, but there has been a trend, I feel like, for the last, I don't know, a couple of years, maybe you go back further than that, but it has been almost highlighted here recently. There's been this like race to the bottom, and I don't necessarily blame people because they're playing by the rules that have been set forth in front of them. Indiana, to me, and I don't want to just scapegoat them as the only team that does this. Indiana is the prime example, though, this offseason. If you go back to Big Ten Media Days and Curt Cignetti standing up there talking in front of the press, saying, well, we're just going to do what the SEC does. They were supposed to have a game with, I want to say it was Virginia in this year in the non-conference, maybe West. I can't remember.
I think it was Virginia Tech.
Was it Virginia Tech? Okay, I thought it was a Virginia team,
something like that.
Supposed to play them in non-conference, and they just out of nowhere said, "We'll pay you. We're not going to play the game. We don't want to play Virginia or Virginia Tech. It's not. You're not getting out of a game against Georgia or Notre Dame or Alabama or insert big-time program here." It was against a team who, if you're in Indiana that's going to the college football playoff, maybe for the second straight year, you should be able to beat in non-conference. And they said, nah, we don't want to play it. And all Curt Cignetti would say up at the podium is, what we're going to do what the SEC is doing. And that is what I mean in terms of the race to the bottom, where there's been this push by coaches, administrators to say, make things as easy as humanly possible, because the only thing that matters at the end of the day for some fans is the number that's next to your name. And for Indiana last year, that was 11-1, even though they didn't have a single win over a team that won more than 8 games in the regular season. They only beat one team who was in the top 12 of the Big Ten standings last year, and I believe that only win was against Michigan, and it was a nail-biter at home. That's the only one that they beat. It was an easy schedule. They played nobody out of conference, but they were 11-1, put them in the college football playoff. that was the right decision last year. I just hated the precedent that it set in this idea of let's make things easier than we could possibly imagine so we know we're guaranteed 3 wins every year. All we got to do is go 6-3 in conference play, and then we're a 9-3 team. Over the next handful of years, you know who Indiana plays in non-conference? This year it's Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, and Indiana State. Next year it's Colorado State, Howard, and Western Kentucky. The year after that it's Kennesaw State, Indiana State, and UMass. 2028, they play Austin Peay, Eastern Michigan, and Miami, Ohio. And let's just go to 2029 for fun. They play Ball State, Eastern Illinois, and Western Kentucky. That is their non-conference slate from this year until 2029. And Curt Cignetti just sat up there and said, we're going to do what the SEC's doing. And the SEC yesterday called his bluff.
Yeah.
Now, largely because the committee changed the way they're going to weigh some of the metrics on how they rank teams. So there's no doubt they pushed the committee to do that. But at least there is a reward here because who wins out of all of this is the fans of the sport. My team is opening against Montana State. You want to play one of those games, I don't blame you for it. I'm okay with it. You want to ease into it. You don't get the joint practices in the preseason. Like, that's fine. If you're playing 3 of those games in non-conference, I already don't really care about the Montana State game unless they crap the bed and it's too close for comfort.
I thought maybe the Big Ten doesn't have a requirement to play another Power 4 school.
They do not.
Thought they did.
They do not.
So
that's the other part of it with the SEC.
That's part of the SEC. So they will have 10 games against Power 4
mandated
schools, and I think you're going to see the Big Ten probably counter.
You have to follow
with that.
That's the only thing that can come out of this if you're the Big Ten because you spent your entire media days basically pointing at the SEC and laughing at them for only playing 8 conference games. They have called your bluff. They're saying, okay, not only are we going to play 9 conference games going forward, which they will start next season, they're, as you point out, mandating every team plays 10 Power 4 opponents.
Yeah.
So that's your 9 conference games, and then you have to play at least one team out of conference who is a Power 4 opponent.
Yep.
You look at some of the or Notre Dame, right? You look at some of these schedules in the years to come, they are insane. Like from 2026 through 2034, just use Alabama as an example, they have 11 games every single year scheduled against Power 4 opponents. So they have gone and kind of flipped this thing that we used to knock them for on its head and said, okay, we did our part, now you got to do yours. The ACC still only plays 8 conference games, by the way.
Yeah,
how did they get away with that? What are we doing? You got 18 teams. Your conference sucks to begin with.
I honestly think the ACC doesn't think they're going to stay at this 18. Like, they're going to have defections at some point.
May add Clemson and Florida State to the SEC 5 years down the road.
They are going to need more non-conference slots for not just wins, but also to play other Power 4 conference teams to boost up their top end.
Sure. Well, the other part of this, too, when you look at some of them, is that they, in the SEC especially, and this connects with the ACC as well, some of these teams have a rivalry that's a Power 4 team. Like, Georgia plays Georgia Tech.
South Carolina plays Clemson.
South Carolina plays Clemson.
Georgia plays Georgia
Florida
Tech.
and Florida State play each other every year. Like, these are rivalry games that are built into their schedule, baked into their schedule every year. That's already there, plus now the conference games that come. So I saw this yesterday, and I'm going to carry this over a little bit. Your thoughts are welcome. I was fired up about something finally happening where we win, because there's a lot of weeks during the regular season. Now, week 1 this year is a little different. We got to get through week 0, and it's kind of a tease, but we'll get to week 1 next week. There were a lot of weeks early in the year last year where it was about, there's no games, so what's going on? Nobody's playing each other. Like this, and then some of the big games you have were like Texas and Michigan clearly wasn't very good last year. Their defensive line was fine, but Texas kills them in Ann Arbor, and you're like, okay, that was one of your big games. It was a dud. It was over in the first quarter. There was a lot of those weekends where there's just, you're watching your team because you want to see how your team does, and Oregon plays Montana State, and I'll say, all right, I get to hopefully see some of the young guys play in the second half and some freshmen and work out some kinks, get ready for Penn State down the road. But fans need better games every single weekend. It's been one of the biggest things missing from the sport, and I'm hoping that this changes it, especially when it comes to non-conference scheduling. So what this might mean going forward, I want to dive into that next. Big news yesterday with the SEC making the decision that they did to go to 9 conference games and mandating every team in their conference plays 10 Power 4 opponents every single year. Some more college football stuff. That's next. First Year Swag with SportsCenter.
Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
If you've been arrested for DUI, you need a team of attorneys you can put your trust in. Call Reynolds Defense Firm today, online at reynoldsdefensefirm.com. First on the Fan. Final week of NFL preseason action continues tonight. 4 games in all. 2 can be seen live on your TV, both at 5 o'clock. On Coin 6, the Titans are hosting the Vikings. Tennessee 3.5-point favorites there. Over on the NFL Network, it's the Cowboys hosting the Falcons. Dallas 2.5-point favorites. Don't expect to see any week 1 starting QBs in action. Thursday night, the Steelers got a 19-10 win over the Panthers. The only thing of note there, first-round pick, former Ducks defensive tackle Derek Harmon left the game in the second quarter with a knee injury. After the game, head coach Mike Tomlin said it's just a sprain. He's going to get a little bit more testing. Unsure if he'll be ready to go for week 1. Seahawks wrap up their preseason schedule Saturday right here on the Fan. Rookie quarterback Jalen Milroe expected to play the entire game for Seattle against the Packers. 1 o'clock kick. We'll have pregame coverage starting at 11 a.m. Round 2 of the PGA Tour Championship getting an early start at Eastlake in Atlanta, expecting some unfavorable weather this afternoon. Your first-round leader, Russell Henley, about to tee off in 15 minutes. He's at 9 under, playing with Scotty Scheffler, who's at 7 under. Tommy Fleetwood is on the course. He's in a group tied at 6 under par. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigard from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt missing work? Insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The home of Ducks Game Day.
Harley asking, oh no, are we yelling today? Yeah, college football scheduling will get me fired up. That revs my engine. One of our listeners at the Fan Text Line, which, by the way, you can get your fake sponsors in 503-864-6326, asking or saying this just gives the SEC an excuse to not play any good non-conference games because they play non-conference games. Like, that's the part of it, man. They're mandated to play 10 Power 4 games.
Yeah.
Now, not every Power 4 team is created equal, right?
No.
Like, you could play Northwestern and that could count.
You can
Doesn't
play
mean it's
Cal.
you could play Cal. Well, hey, Cal beat Auburn last year.
All right.
The woke agenda went down to the state of Alabama and announced their presence with authority. Yeah. So that's the other part of it. Like, we were right to make fun of the SEC and chide them for not doing something that they should have done a long time ago, and for scheduling Baylor School for the Blind before a rivalry game.
That's the piece I'm curious to see when they actually start doing this out. Are they going to eliminate playing Troy and Arkansas State and the Sun Belt teams the week before their big rivalry game?
There's one choice you have. It's either scheduling the game in the extra conference games in those moments at the end of the year, or you play it right out of the gate. And some coaches don't want that.
Go through 9 conference games from the end of September to Thanksgiving weekend.
Right. So they're mandated to play 10. So we were all right to point at them and say, come on, guys, you're holding the sport back by making a decision that benefits you. Come on board with everybody else, and they finally have done it. And so now I think, one, I'm somebody who will give them kudos for finally making the right decision here, and then point the finger elsewhere. Like, Big Ten is up next with the idea of now you got to mandate your teams play 10 Power 4 conference opponents every year.
And I'm wondering when we get to the point where it'll also be you're done playing FCS schools.
Yeah, I hope that we get there because I don't get anything out of those games. I don't think they benefit anybody. If you want to play a non-conference or a preseason-ish game and your joint practice kind of thing.
I would like to see them do the spring, and that may force them to change the spring game. I would love to see Portland State go play at Oregon State or Oregon for a spring game.
Yeah, I'm all for that. You make some money, we'll pay you, come down, we'll cover the lodge.
Come down, we want some joint practices, we want to do this.
Come work together a little bit for a couple of days.
Yeah. And do that, and we'll do a little showcase, for fans at the end of the week or whatever.
Yes. I think that would be great. If you got rid of FCS games, I feel terrible for those programs, but also my love of college football is so great. You only get 12 of these a year.
Exactly.
When you're guaranteed, right? Maybe you go to a conference title game, maybe it's a playoff game, maybe it's a bowl game, you could get more. You're only guaranteed to get 12 every year. And it sucks. Like, I point out Indiana, not just to make fun of them, but they are kind of the prime example of this right now. Like, if I'm an Indiana fan, I'm coming off an 11-1 season. I'm excited as I've ever been. They're all at home. Are you excited at all to watch your team play Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, or Indiana State?
No.
Like, that's the other part of this that I think the SEC finally acknowledges, that we're continuously asking people to pay more money to watch games on television, for one.
Well, and ABC and ESPN just kicked in a whole bunch of money to buy in. They're like, an extra week of actual SEC inventory over,
we'll take it. It'll be right well to get Georgia versus LSU this year when we wouldn't have gotten that game before.
Instead of playing VMI.
Right, or the Citadel, or you normally do. So you're already asking fans to pay more to watch these games on television, but anybody who goes to games knows that they're also asking you more for tickets, and ticket prices have gone nothing but up and up and up and up, and they're not going to go down anytime soon. And so if I'm a fan paying, like, why am I paying for season tickets for Indiana football to watch them play Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, and Indiana State non-conference?
And what difference does it make if we have a quarterback we've paid, $2 million in NIL for,
right,
when you can find any host of quarterbacks who can beat the Citadel? And
right, exactly.
We don't need them for that game.
I'm hoping that this leads to a response from the Big Ten and other, like the ACC. I see your point on the ACC and their non-conference stuff.
I think the ACC
is tricky, but
the most uncertain about their future now, as far as conferences go.
They think they're going to crumble at some point, which they probably will.
Or I don't know what they're going to do.
The Big Ten should immediately respond to this and go to 10 guaranteed Power 4 games. You have your 9 plus 1 out of conference, and that's an easy solution. The other part of this that I do think is a domino that will fall, like we talked about it earlier this week with the Big Ten floating the 2018 playoff model, and everybody talked. That was never going to happen. It was never a reality that would actually transpire in the sport. What it was, and I said it on Monday, and I'll reaffirm it, that was we're trying to get people on board with the playoff format that we want. They don't want to come on board with us. So we're going to throw something out that's so outrageous that people will then say, oh, Well, I guess, compared to that looks a little bit better, right? A 14-team playoff or a 16, whatever it was, with automatic qualifiers looks a little bit better. I think that's the next domino that's going to fall. I think now that the SEC has done this, there's going to be an idea of we're okay with automatic qualifiers. And I have been a big advocate of it because I don't think there's a way that you can correctly judge resumes of teams who have such different pathways throughout the course of the regular season.
Yeah.
Like this year is another good example of it. When you have these mega conferences, this is going to happen. Like Texas A&M, for example, joined the SEC in 2012. That was 13 years ago. You realize they've never hosted Georgia? A team they've been in the conference for 13 years. They've never hosted Georgia.
Wow.
It's just there's little oddities like that.
Yeah.
Go pull up, and one of the reasons I'm super high on Nebraska this year is because of their schedule. Go pull up Nebraska's schedule. They don't have to play Penn. It's not like the three big hitters in the conference and they all got to go on the road. I think they play one of them. They get Michigan at home. Missouri is kind of an example of this in the SEC. They are the Indiana of the Big Ten last year, where you look at it and you say, oh, God, you play nobody this year, because that's the way how do you accurately compare that to somebody who has to play? Use South Carolina as an example, who we previewed the other day, who has a 6-week stretch where it's like LSU on the road, Ole Miss, Alabama, Oklahoma, and then Texas A&M in a 5-week stretch.
Yeah, so Nebraska, they open against Cincinnati at home. There are three non-conference games are at home. Cincinnati, Akron, and Houston Christian.
Yep. Who do they get in conference play?
Michigan at home.
Yep.
Michigan State at home. Their first 5 games are at home.
Yep. They don't leave the state of Nebraska.
At Maryland, at Minnesota, Northwestern, USC at home, at UCLA, a bye at Penn State.
There's your tough one.
And then Thanksgiving weekend against Iowa at home.
So there you go. No, Washington's an up-and-coming team maybe this year, not on the schedule. Oregon's one of the favorites to win it.
No
Ohio State's favorite to win. You got one. That is the identical schedule of Indiana. Now, the non-conference, they at least play Cincinnati, a Big 12 team, so I'll give them that. Indiana didn't do that last year. But this is what Indiana did. They beat up on everybody, and then they went on the road to Ohio State late in the year. They got their teeth kicked in, and then they finished 11-1, and they made the playoff. That's why a lot of people think Nebraska might go on a run this year.
The conference sets the schedule. So
yes, that has nothing to do with Nebraska.
Don't start taking shots at Nebraska there.
Not doing it at all. But this is
Houston
one of the things.
Christian, if you want to take a shot, that's fine.
And I get that you could say, well, their automatic qualifiers will be impacted by this as well. And you're not wrong. But at least at the end of the day, like the idea that the Big Ten wants out of this is they won in the Big Ten and the SEC 4 AQs. In the ACC and the Big 12, they won 2 AQs. They want to get rid of conference championship games. So your regular season, whoever has the best record out of the regular season will be your conference. They'll be your number 1 team. And then your number 2 team will also, in the Big Ten and SEC, get a bye that week. You're automatically guaranteed a spot in the college football playoff. 3 will play 6, and 4 will play 5. And so if you're one of these teams that benefits from an easy schedule, it will still come down to the end of the year. Let's say you finish 3rd or 4th in the Big Ten. You got to go win one more game against an upper echelon team just to make the playoff. Maybe you make it as an at-large, but I like settling it on the field in that regard.
One caveat again, that to keep the model going in perpetuity, if something happens in the SEC and the Big Ten for whatever reason that we can't predict now, fall off. I would like to see, is there a conference metric? And if the Big 12, let's say, starts to
that changes,
get its stuff together,
revisit
and now
it every 2 to 3 years.
They are a stronger conference, however you are going to measure that.
Right.
So the top 2 rated conferences on a rolling average of 2 or 3 years or something. So it's
totally
not just
fair.
one crazy season.
Right, that's guaranteed,
moves into that top slot. Then okay, in order to keep your 4 automatic bids, you as a conference need to maintain a consistent level of dominant play from top to bottom.
All for that.
And that's why it's necessary to all get on the same scheduling thing. That would force the ACC probably to go to non-conference games.
And then let's get some scheduling alliances
FCS
here.
Games. And do that. And so at least we know, it's hard with 100 and whatever, Division I FBS schools that to have equal schedules across the board. You'll never get there. But as long as you're basically all pulling from the same pool,
yes,
and we know that there is a minimum standard that has to be met, then we can start making better judgments and evaluations on which conference is better, who's playing more consistently as a conference.
Yes.
The best two will get the most automatic qualifiers. The next two get others, and then
there's a couple of
and then we leave, from the group of 5 or 6 or wherever the future Pac-12 will fall into this.
That's still an AQ. Notre Dame, if they're 10-2, can be an AQ, and then you got like 2 at-large spots or 3 or however many will be left over.
Just don't
from a
lock
pool
it
of the rest of the teams.
into your conferences because you think it's your birthright.
Totally fair.
Earn it
agree with that
every
point.
year over time. If you maintain all of the things that you're currently doing, there's no reason to think you shouldn't be one of the top 2 conferences.
Yes.
Period. But you got to prove it every year.
Well, and selfishly, I do think that will be the playoff model that ends up getting approved. I think the SEC took a step yesterday towards that. The Big Ten has been fighting and advocating for it. And if those 2 conferences want it, that's ultimately what will end up happening, unfortunately, for fans of other conferences. The other part of this selfishly that I want, and then we'll go to some other college football stuff, I hope that this leads the way to a scheduling alliance with the SEC and the Big Ten. And I to be fair, I hope the ACC and the Big 12 do something similar. Like, give me Utah on the road at Clemson. Give me Kansas State hosting Florida State. Give me, whoever else, Texas Tech and their $1 billion roster to Miami.
So you've got your 3 others, and they all come. The only thing about that is I feel bad for really quality group of 5 or 6 programs. They could be shut out of games. And I think they are going to need to have one of those. So maybe it's on a rotating basis where 2 of your games come from that. Okay, and so the Big Ten is matched up with the SEC and the ACC this year, and the SEC is matched up with the Big Ten and the Big 12, and you leave one for a group of 5 school to work in there. Because I think the Boise States and the Oregon States and the Washington States, they're going, one, if they can get a home and home with them, with somebody, that's big for a draw standpoint.
Yes, it's huge from a financial standpoint.
So, yeah. And, I mean, the Pac-12 only has 8 football-playing teams to start with, so they're going to need more.
You're going to need some non-conference games, man.
You can only play the service academies and that sort of thing
you don't want to have FCS teams on your schedule because you want your resume to be a little bit better.
So we'll see how they do it, but I think there is a way to do it. I think eventually you just have to cut out the FCS games. You can't.
I'd be all for that, man. And I feel bad for those programs, but as a fan of big-time college football, they're not games that mean anything or matter on the schedule. Shots getting taken at Alabama's schedule. Like, I get it. Maybe they back out of some of these games. This year and next year, Alabama has a home-and-home with Florida State. It's not their fault that Florida State fell off the face of the cliff last year. They also play Wisconsin at home. It's a Big Ten team. In 2027 in non-conference, Alabama plays West Virginia and on the road at Ohio State, now plus 9 conference games. In 2028, they play Ohio State at home and at Oklahoma State, plus 9 conference games. Like, in 2029, they play at Notre Dame. In 2030, they play at home against Notre Dame. So I don't get I get it. We all love making fun of the SEC.
About at that point.
That's a ridiculously challenging schedule. Now, maybe they back out of these games because of this new ruling, and they say, hey, Ohio State, we're not playing you anymore. And if that happens, I'll point at them and make fun of them. But if it doesn't, that's as hard a schedule as you could possibly have, and it's good for the fans. We win in that case. A couple other college football odds and ends, including how do you feel if your coach does this, and music to the ears of one fan base. That's next, 105.1 FM, The Fan.
It's time for Who's Stinking It Up.
Woo! Do not go in there.
A sports lowlight, ripped from the headlines.
We couldn't do diddly poo.
Brought to you by Three Mountains Home Services. Schedule your appointment online at threemountainshomeservices.com.
ACL.
I'm sorry?
Any concern over Harmon being potentially a serious injury?
Like I said, it was a knee sprain.
Yeah, that sucked last night, man. The Steelers are playing their last preseason game. Derek Harmon, who people are saying is having a great camp, looked good so far, has a chance to be a big impact player for Pittsburgh. MCL sprain is what the result is. He's awaiting more testing. It didn't look great at the time. He's carted off, had the towel over the head, and you're like, oh, man, that's brutal. I was at a rehearsal for my brother-in-law's wedding. He saw the tweet, and I'm like, we're just bemoaning. It sounds like hopefully he'll be okay, maybe miss a couple of weeks, but that is stinking it up whenever a guy gets hurt. Three Mountains Home Services are making it easier for you to save big on that AC tune-up service right now. Just $59. Schedule online at threemountainshomeservices.com. For just $59, they make home services delightful. Here's Bill with more info. All right, welcome back in. Multiple Hood to Coast listeners chiming in today. One who said, man, hearing Sprague run and talk at the same time was impressive. Another one chimed in from a porta potty in the middle of their Hood to Coast run. Shout out to that guy. So I'm listening to a porta potty right now in the middle of the Hood to Coast. Love hearing from those P1s. Before I get to a couple other quick college football notes, one of our P1s tweeted us and said, how does the SEC conference schedule change benefit them financially? It's because ESPN kicked in more money for better games. Essentially, I think it's about $5 million more per school, if my reading on it was correct. That they're all going to get at the end of the day because the ESPN said, wait a minute, we're the exclusive rights holder of the SEC and you want to give us more inventory of good games and you want to get rid of playing UT Martin late in the season? Sounds good. Here's a little extra cash because these games are going to rate incredibly well. So that's how they're benefiting from it financially. Travel miles are in for college football teams this year.
Ooh. And
a not shocking fact, Hawaii will travel more miles than anybody this year, which,
Yeah, that's part of the deal.
Part of the deal. Number 2 on this list, and it was kind of a dot that I didn't even connect about a game this weekend. Number 2 on this list is Stanford, who has to play an ACC schedule where everybody outside of Cal is over on the other side of the country.
And they're starting at Hawaii.
And they're starting at Hawaii. They're traveling 23,562 miles. The number 3 team on this list this year is my Oregon Ducks, 16,770 miles.
Yeah, it's a haul to Penn State.
Rutgers on the road, I believe,
Rutgers.
Right? Any other? I was not terribly far.
It's not.
But relative, in terms of who you used to play in your conference, a little bit further than you used to travel. So Oregon is the top Big Ten team. Surprisingly here, and I'd have to go back and look at the full slate, Washington State is number 4 on this list. Even though they got 2 games against Oregon State.
Let's go see.
That one was surprising. So Washington State this year, I know that they open next week with Idaho. They're on the road at North Texas, on the road at Colorado State. Oh, I forgot the Cougs are going to Ole Miss this year.
Yeah, they go to Ole Miss and Virginia.
Back-to-back weeks.
And James Madison.
Are they going to stay over there? If you go to Mississippi and then Virginia, do you just hang out in the Southeast for a week or do you come home? That's an interesting Coug question.
I think if you're going to do anything, you head to Virginia.
And James Madison's in Virginia, too, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, it's in that area.
So that's a lot. I didn't realize they had that much travel on their schedule. Cal comes in next, 15,780. UCLA, of course, on this list. USC, 15,000. Washington at 14,000. So Washington was a team that had some of those longer trips last year. And it breaks a little more even for them this year. Still a lot of travel, but not as much as maybe some others.
They're at Maryland, at Michigan, at Wisconsin.
Okay. That's basically what Oregon did last year, just not the Maryland trip.
But their other 2 roadies are to Pullman and to L.A.
Right. So you got one on the West Coast and then one in-state. So that helps a little bit. But travel times, those are in. Will it impact games and teams this year? We saw a lot of teams last year in the Big Ten do the 2 time zone thing and not be able to win in both directions. And so will that be the case again this year? One of those storylines of the new Big Ten to figure out. Let's dive into week 0, man. We got games this week, actual college football games. Starting tomorrow morning in Ireland. A team that I find, I wonder if people agree with me, I find fascinating going into this year. How will it work for them? And then, what the hell, a little Stanford Hawaii love. So we'll start with a little week 0 primer. We got Bill Connelly coming up at 8:30. Some more college football around the corner. We'll dive into a couple injuries in the NFL and the final week of NFL preseason. We haven't talked about that yet. And make sure to keep your Sprague and Line sponsors coming in, 503-864-6326. We'll do that coming up at 9:30. Hour number 3 next. Sturt and Sprague on 105.1 FM The Fan.
George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
First on the Fan, final week of the NFL preseason continues with 4 games tonight. You can see 2 of them on TV, both at 5 o'clock on Coin 6. Titans hosting the Vikings. Tennessee 3.5-point favorites. They're over on the NFL Network. Cowboys will host the Falcons. Dallas 2.5-point favorites. Thursday night, you saw the Giants beat up on the Patriots 42-10 as the Jackson Dart hype will not calm down in New York. Steelers beat the Panthers 19-10. Pittsburgh concerned, though, about former Duck first-round pick Derek Harmon. The defensive tackle left the game in the second quarter with a knee sprain. A few more tests being done before declaring his status for Week 1. Seahawks wrap up the preseason tomorrow right here on the Fan. Rookie quarterback Jalen Milroe expected to play the entire game against the Packers. 1 o'clock kick. We'll have pregame coverage starting at 11 a.m. Round 2 of the PGA Tour Championship underway. Everybody is on the course. First-round leader Russell Henley with a birdie on the first hole. He is at 10 under par. Tommy Fleetwood, Scotty Scheffler, Robert McIntyre, Colin Morikawa, all in the group tied for second at 7 under. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigart from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt missing work. Insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The home of the Fan.
Hey, welcome back in. 8:02, hour number 3. Gotta be honest, Sabrina Carpenter is a nice little start to an hour of radio. Kind of gets me going. No Sprague today. He's in the middle of the hood to coast. He called in earlier if you want to go check out that podcast. That was about an hour ago.
He should be done with his first leg.
Should be done. He's probably eating
having a breakfast burrito now in the van.
Breakfast burrito, you know.
Have to find a porta potty somewhere along the way.
I will be honest with you, not to get too graphic, because I know it's early and people are eating breakfast. The best part about doing a solo show is, letting one rip in the studio and nobody's in here to judge you for it. You get to experience this every day.
I have my own space
you have
over
your
here.
own space
There's
over there.
one way to keep people from filtering in.
That is true. People like to come in and talk to you.
Not a lot of people that filter in early in the show.
Especially on a Friday.
Yes.
Especially on a Friday.
So we'll see.
We got a lot to get to in the next 2 hours. Big night for Teddy Ballgame. He is the ring bearer at my brother-in-law's wedding. How will he perform? We'll have a full post-game show coming up on Monday.
Now, does he have, does he have a full suit?
They bought him an outfit. He's got, here's the problem. It's a nice little suit with a bow tie. It's very cute. I mean,
Oh, the pictures are going to blast you.
Oh, it's melting your heart, right, when he dresses up?
You've already got the Christmas card done.
Here's the problem. The problem is that it's hard to get clothes that fit because not every 18-month-old is the same size, right?
Yes.
So the pants are a little big. Thankfully, my mom is a magician with the sewing machine.
Oh, she can
So
hem.
she sewed them up a little bit so they
go.
weren't too long. That helped. The waistline's still a little too big.
Oh.
And there's a way you can tighten it to a certain extent. Now, it came with suspenders.
Okay.
He's not a big fan of the suspenders.
Well,
a lot of taking the suspenders off.
Suck it up, Buttercup. He's just got to wear it
just
to
gotta
walk down the aisle.
Well, and then the rest of there will become a moment tonight that I'll probably tweet out a picture of my child pantsless at a wedding.
We're
just hoping it doesn't happen.
I want to see the shirt with the bow tie and then just the diaper.
Just a diaper butt hanging out.
That's the picture.
That's the pic. It will happen at some point. How long will it take?
That's the one you send out caption. It's like, all right, ceremony's over. It's party time.
We had a great time tonight, everybody. So I got a busy night ahead. My brother-in-law's getting married tonight, and so it'll be a fun little weekend. And in our weekend, we get college football. Before I get to that, I saw this yesterday. It was in my notes, and I wanted to ask the question. I don't know if maybe never is the right word. I'm trying to think if this has ever happened before. There is a head coach in college football, big time, a team we've actually talked about today, that a week before his team is kicked off, a massive season with big expectations, has launched a podcast.
Excuse me?
How do we feel about our college football coach hosting a weekly podcast throughout the course of the college football season.
Well, I mean, most coaches do a weekly coaches show.
They do.
Now,
I don't know if this is
how
in lieu
involved
of that.
the coaches are in that show varies from program to program.
Yes, it does. Some guys shut it down. Some guys don't want to do it. Some guys go to a bar and take questions.
So is this that thing where the university has like the play-by-play guy or the sideline guy hosting the podcast and the coach just shows up and answers questions?
I don't think so.
Or is the coach hosting his own like thing and he's going off wherever he wants to go?
I think it's the latter. Now, I'm not 100% certain of that.
Okay.
But about 92% certain of that.
Okay.
That it is that like this. He's just legitimately starting a podcast. He's having people on to talk about thought process.
A football podcast, or is this coach has some other interest and needed a forum for it, whatever that may be?
The description of the podcast is, quote, I don't have to be politically correct. I can speak the truth because that's how we move the game forward.
Oh, boy.
The head coach who is launching his own podcast, I believe with Bleacher Report, but maybe not. Maybe that's a Go Big Red sign in the background, is Matt Rule. Matt Rule has launched his own podcast called House Rules. Get it?
Yeah. With an H.
Now, he's doing it with somebody that I've never heard of before, so there's like another actual host that's included in it.
Yeah.
I don't know I can't remember the guy's name. I saw a tweet about it. The first episode is out. You can go.
Okay.
You can go watch Matt Rule's podcast. I don't know if that. I mean, if you win games, nobody cares. Like if you have a 10-2, 9-3 season, everybody's fine in Nebraska.
I think it's actually.
Do you like this idea? Behind the curtain, is he going to be honest about things?
Well, we'll see how honest he is, but I think coaches. There's a lot of stuff that they would like to say at press conferences, but they don't do it there because it will oftentimes get taken out of proportion, or they haven't had the full, especially after games.
Yeah.
They haven't had the full time to go process everything, go back, talk to their coaches, review some tape, and you're getting just in the moment. If it was a tough loss or it was a big win, who knows what they're likely to say. But also, doing the podcast, you can get the context that a lot of times you don't get. And I think that's key, even in like a coach's show or a controlled interview or a press conference of back and forth. Like if Tim, you have the freedom then to, wait, coach, I don't understand. Are you saying this? No, let me explain.
Clarify. Yeah.
And the ability to explain. And now people will still grab a soundbite, but at least you have it on record. Like you'll be able to go to the podcast. It's like, wait, this is from the podcast. How did we build up to this?
Right.
And hopefully it diffuses a lot of nonsense.
If they go 6-6, though, fans will be pointing to this.
That won't matter.
they will use this as the reason, because we do this, and like this has been the Micah Parsons thing, right? Like, do you like him hosting a podcast every week after games when you're not winning games?
I also think it's. You can't. People that have ever, when you're studying for finals, you will reach a point where it's like, I can't absorb anything else. I can't. We're only going to run 75, 80 plays. I can't put any more plays in the playbook. I can't watch any more.
This is all we got.
Yeah. This is what this team does.
Right.
Here are the three freaks on the other team that we've got the game plan. Now it's just a matter of, are our guys up to the challenge?
Can they go execute it?
So, but if you're still in the football mind and you're still going, you need to wind down or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't, and it's once a week.
Yeah.
And it's all set up at the convenience of the coach when he wants to do it, when he's not, it's not interrupting things. Yeah.
Okay. So we're putting him now. A good point from one of our P1s. Harley said this is the same head coach who said his players can't be on TikTok, which is a different. I mean, it's not an apples to apples comparison, but I get the point, larger point that he's making there. I'm just curious to see how this plays out. I saw it was announced yesterday. I think the first episode came out. Nebraska is a team with massive. Our buddy Josh Pate picked them to go to the college football playoff this year. Massive expectations on them this season. If you go 10-2, you could do it. Say whatever the hell you want on a podcast.
Exactly.
And nobody's going to care.
Is this also part of? Will this help them?
NIL money is going to generate more money.
Donations.
I don't know.
Fan interest, all of that sort of stuff. Obviously, we know Big Red Nation can't get enough Husker football.
Right, they're going to be eating it up.
but let's rather than trying to force something down the coaches,
allow him to drive the vehicle, if you will.
Okay,
yeah.
We would like for you to do something. What would you like to do? Hey, I'm willing to do this. Great. One, you're going to get him, when he's there and it's his thing. If it's truly his thing, then he should be into it. And you don't have to constantly...
You're not twisting his arm to get an answer out of it. Yeah.
Wait, coach had something else to do. He's not going to be with us tonight. Here's your tight ends coach.
Right. Speaking of that, I did see in North Carolina, Bill Belichick has already backed out of their coach's show.
Of course he
has.
And
he's making Michael Lombardi do it every week. It's like, nah, man,
what did anybody expect?
I'm not going to do that. We're not going to answer questions on that.
Yeah. He's on to TCU.
He's moving on to the next. Where is that one? Hold on, let me find it. I don't know where it went. We got too many damn drops. Anyways, that's happening in college football. Let's get to week 0. Look, I know that it's a tease. I know that it's not a full real weekend of football, but I feel like I got an angle on all these games that I could sell you on. First up,
well, I want to see you get the 4:00 CBS Sports Network game sold. That's the one I want.
That's the one you want a positive spin on?
If I'm skipping one.
If you're skipping a game.
Like, I would more seek out
Sam Houston,
the
Western
Mountain
Kentucky.
West app.
Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have something on all these games. I forgot that game was taking place. Scratch that one from the record.
Okay.
Nobody's going to watch Sam.
There's 5 games involving Division I teams.
There are this weekend, and it starts with Iowa State and Kansas State.
Yes. I'm DVRing that one, and I will watch that one from start to finish once I get home from Golf in the Northwest.
Yes, you'll be live on the air tomorrow morning.
Sign off from the live from the
tomorrow's
Portland.
The last show of the year, huh?
Yeah, you take over on Saturday mornings.
That's true.
I
We got football around the corner.
You and yes, with a lot of noon kicks early in the season.
Yeah.
The pre starts at 4 in the morning.
We're pretty early, yeah, because some of those mornings.
You guys are doing.
Northwestern in week 3 is going to be bright and early, baby. I hope everybody's up. We're ready for that one as they get ready to play in Chicago. Iowa State and Kansas State is a great game to open the season with for a couple of reasons. One, the Big 12 is probably I'm trying to think of the right way to describe this. Maybe the most exciting conference in college football every year.
They can really upset the apple cart for the Big Ten and the SEC.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out in terms of the playoff stuff. I'm just speaking in terms of I legitimately think you can make an argument for 10 teams in that conference having a chance to win it.
Half the conference could win
and that's not what the Big Ten is. Maybe I end up looking dumb and USC or
SEC,
Washington wins it, but dude, the Big Ten is probably going to be Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon, or insert maybe one dark horse. The SEC is going to be Alabama, Texas, maybe LSU, maybe South Carolina, Georgia. It's a small kind of grouping of teams. Whereas in the Big 12, I think both these teams legitimately have a chance to win the conference. That's not counting Utah. That's not counting Arizona State. That's not counting Texas Tech. The Big 12 is a very enjoyable conference to watch. Do I think they have a national title contender? No. But in terms of getting a conference game right out of the gate, so this is going to this is a big impact game immediately in a conference and where your record in conference play is going to matter greatly at the end of the season. Remember in the Big 12 last year, at the end of the year, there was 7 teams that had a chance to play in the conference title game because everybody was and Colorado needed this team to win and this team to lose and this team to win. So there were so many different scenarios at play. So you get a conference game right out of the gate. Avery Johnson is the quarterback at Kansas State. There was a great read on him I was going through last night. He in the offseason, he got a big cash payday and NIL money from Kansas State 2 years ago, took over as a starting quarterback. One of the first things he did is I think he went and bought a purple Lamborghini, which, to each their own. I probably would too if you gave me that kind of money when I was in college.
I wonder who's selling that in Manhattan.
You know what he did, though, this offseason?
Sold it?
He got rid of it. It was too flashy, and he wasn't focused on football enough. He wasn't happy with the way that he played last year. He thought their season was disappointing at the end.
You got to be Dylan Gabriel. Go get the minivan.
Go drive yourself a minivan. So he's back to his humble Manhattan, Kansas roots.
There you go.
I think a big season is loading for Avery Johnson.
You might need a big old pickup truck.
You very well could need a big pickup truck.
Throw some bales of hay in the back of that thing.
One other note, we're already against it, so I'll get to some more Week 0 stuff. By the way, Bill Connelly joining us in about 15 minutes. One other thing that I remembered yesterday, I want to say maybe 2 days ago, I totally forgot the Big 12 is doing injury reports this year.
Yes.
They came out on Thursday. So there's a whole graphic of people on Iowa State and Kansas State's roster who are out of the game or questionable for the game. One of the most notable ones for Kansas State is Lincoln Kier, who was the #1 tight end in the country coming out of high school. Oregon had a chance to get him. He's from Kansas, local kid, went to Kansas State, stayed at home. He is out for the opening games. A couple of guys that are questionable. So just another fun note that I forgot of, like, that's right, we got injury reports now in the Big 12. Every conference should do that. Let's continue on week 0. A fascinating team playing their first game with a new head coach tomorrow. I want to talk about a little bit more on the Kansas State-Iowa State game. And Stanford, Ben Branson starting a college football game tomorrow. Some more week 0 thoughts, and then we'll get to Bill Connelly coming up bottom of the hour. Back out for this 105.1 FM The Fan. a response, according to our friend Heather Dinich, saying the SEC's scheduling decision further solidifies our independence. Let's all publicly shame them until they join a conference like they should. Week 0 is tomorrow. It begins. Our long journey to crown a national championship officially begins tomorrow at 9 a.m. in Ireland. Is College Game Day going to be there?
They will not be on site.
Okay, they didn't send everybody over, because I remember last year that was an interesting show, and Pat McAfee on the Friday was at a pub in Ireland and got absolutely ass-faced live on ESPN, which was quite the spectacle. He was interviewing Nick Saban after drinking his 17th Guinness of the day on his show, so maybe that's why they didn't want to send him over this year.
No, it doesn't I don't think so.
Okay. Maybe they're building it all up for Corso next week. They wanted that to be the first game day.
College week 1, College Game Day. Yeah. I don't see anything for week 0 specific. No.
Okay. Got it. So not over in Ireland. But the college football season will kick off tomorrow, 9 a.m. ESPN. You can hear it on 910. Kansas State, Iowa State. One other quick note on this game. 2 returning quarterbacks who I do think will give both teams a chance to win the conference this year. Rocco back for another year at Iowa State. Had a really good year last year. I'm super high on Avery Johnson. I think he has a lot of intangibles that didn't necessarily showcase themselves in his first year as a starter. And if you go back and watch some of the highlights, I think he made a lot of young quarterback mistakes. Like there were moments where he'd, throw the ball away on 4th down or run out of bounds when he shouldn't, or just little tiny things along the way that I'm sure he would want back that he learned from. 605 rushing yards on the season for him. He's a dynamic athlete. I love what Kansas State has in the backfield. So fun little quarterback matchup right out of the gate in week 1. One of the teams playing tomorrow that I'm most interested to see, now the game in which they're playing, let me pull up the full slate here, because we got a slate of games tomorrow. I want to make sure I get the opponent right, because I think they're playing nobody, if I'm not wrong. Is UNLV. They're playing Idaho State. So the game's not even on TV.
Idaho State. You got to hunt down the Mountain West
and I'm not going to do that.
Network app.
But I do think there's a storyline about their program. So Barry Odom was their head coach. Remember, UNLV had a legitimate shot at making the playoff last year. They went on the road to Boise for the conference title game. If they win that, they're in the college football playoff. They lost, came back late, fell just short. Barry Odom takes the job at Purdue. UNLV was in the headlines a lot this offseason as a team who has decided to not join the new look Pac-12, a move that I believe that they will regret in the future, and maybe they change course on. It's a whole state thing. Maybe it's Nevada, can't separate Nevada, whatever. Anyways, they hired Dan Mullen out of the ESPN broadcast booth.
Former Mississippi State, Florida head coach.
I'm very interested to see how this works out. So he took over. They are returning 2 starters from last year's team. It's a few in FBS. Some of the guys went to Purdue with Barry Odom. Mullen came in and cleaned a lot of house. He signed 33 former Power 4 players in his transfer portal recruiting class. 16 of them were blue chips in high school. Now, some of those blue chips include guys like Alex Orji, who literally can't throw a football. Right. So take it with a grain of salt. But he has almost taken them in year 1 and turned them into a different version of Last Chance U. All the guys who were highly touted, didn't quite pan out, not working for you, didn't work at a big school. Dan Mullen is a household name people know. Hell, he probably recruited some of them during his time before he got turfed at his last gig. Now he's taking over at UNLV, a place where they're going to, again, have a legitimate pathway to make the college football playoff. Now, again, the game's not on TV tomorrow, so you won't be able to watch it unless you have the Mountain West app. They're playing Idaho State, and Jared Allen isn't running through that tunnel. But just UNLV is one that I'm keeping an eye on for a couple reasons. One, this year being as a playoff dark horse with all the additions that they made. I do think Dan Mullen is an underrated head coach and probably got the shaft at Florida before he deserved it. But also, this is the world that Oregon State and Washington State will be swimming in the years to come. Not that UNLV will be in the same conference. These are the competitors for that playoff spot for you. The Mountain West will still be a conference where the conference champion could go to the playoff. Oregon State's going to be in a conference where they could go to the playoff if they win the conference. So watching what UNLV does and how long Dan Mullen will be there, very interesting storyline. His tenure kicks off at UNLV tomorrow against Idaho State. And then you got Stanford, man. You got Andrew Luck, the Fighting Nerds, on the road at Hawaii later in the evening. I can't wait to watch some football tomorrow. Let's talk more about it with Bill Connelly. He's got a book coming out. What does this S&P Plus say going into the season? How does he feel about the jumbled elite teams at the top of the sport going into the year? Bill Connelly, our great friend from ESPN, is going to join us coming up next. But first, here's Swag with SportsCenter.
Now, Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
First on the Fan, final week of NFL preseason action. 4 games in all this evening. 2 of them will be on TV, both at 5 o'clock on CBS. That's Coin 6 here locally. The Titans hosting the Vikings. Tennessee moving to a 4.5-point favorite. Cowboys and Falcons will be over on the NFL Network from Dallas. The Cowboys 2.5-point favorites. Then on Saturday, right here on the Fan, the Seahawks will wrap up the preseason slate, giving rookie quarterback Jalen Milroe the entire game against the Packers. 1 o'clock kick. Our pregame coverage will start at 11 a.m. Greg Sankey in the SEC announcing on Thursday that the conference will move to a 9-game conference football schedule beginning in 2026. Round 2 of the PGA Tour Championship is underway from East Lake Country Club in Atlanta. First-round leader Russell Henley at 10 under. Scotty Scheffler, his playing partner, at 8 under. And then Ludwig Oberg, Tommy Fleetwood, Robert McIntyre, and Colin Morikawa all chasing at 7 under par. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigard from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Your home for the 1080 AM.
All right, welcome back in. 8:30 on your Football Friday morning, and college football has returned, ladies and gentlemen. We've made it. The long darkness of the offseason is over. Well, kind of. We get a tease tomorrow, and joining us now to talk about that and his upcoming book is our good friend, Bill Connelly, the man behind the SP Plus model at ESPN, at ESPN_Bill C., one of the best out there covering college football, and his new book coming out is called Forward Progress. Before we get to week 0, Bill, anything you read, I'm willing to, anything you write, I'm willing to read, if I can talk correctly this morning. What's the basis behind Forward Progress, and when is it coming out? Give us all the details.
September 2nd is the date. You can pre-order at Amazon. Apparently, if you go to bookshop.org, they might just send you one. It might not be a pre-order situation at all, but
nice.
Yeah, so it's basically a how did we get here, where were we going kind of thing for college football. There's been just a little bit of change over these last few years, and I really wanted to get my own head straight about just how the different factors that are at play here, and I'm really happy with the results. Kind of half history book, half manifesto, and I think people will like it.
I love that combination. And then let's add this: yesterday, the news that came out that the SEC's finally doing the thing that we've all been poking them to do for seemingly 20 years, 15 years, 10 years. However long it's been, 9 conference games and you have to play 10 power conference overall opponents on your schedule every year. I'm curious your reaction to that, and is that the first domino of more stuff in your manifesto to fall in the future of college football?
Yeah, I kind of, just as somebody who likes having an SP Plus rating system that where the conferences are actually connected to each other, I've always kind of preferred that everybody go to 8 or stay at 8 and nobody go further than that. But the bottom line is, once you get to 16 teams, it doesn't feel like a conference unless you're playing 9. Yeah. And so that's been kind of, any fight I had about, wanting connectivity, that died. There's just no way. And as a Missouri grad who still lives in Columbia, like LSU fans have been up here once in 13 seasons, and it just kind of stinks. So for that reason alone, I like moving to 9 games. Obviously, I know what their concerns with strength of schedule and all that. It's not illegitimate, but that's what the money's for.
Yeah.
And they're going to make even more of it now.
Yeah, I saw a report yesterday that I believe on that Missouri LSU note, I think A&M has never hosted Georgia or something along those lines, and they've joined the conference in 2012. So none of that makes a lot of sense. How did it feel to have the SP Plus model used as SEC propaganda? That was kind of a funny moment of the offseason.
Yeah, it's been, I've yelled about Greg Sankey plenty, and then suddenly they're like, look at this smart person. But no, that is, and I wrote about it too. Like, I thought they should go to 9 regardless, but the difference between the Big Ten and SEC right now, the Big Ten is going to have as many or maybe even more genuine national title contenders at the top, but the bottom of the Big Ten has been much, 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 much worse than the bottom of the SEC through the years. And what that means is you're playing a lot more light heavyweights, and your strength of schedule numbers are great. Like in a given year, most of the top 10 or 12 in my strength of schedule rankings are SEC teams, even at 8. And obviously that's going to get even bigger. Like, there's going to be a bigger gap there. Like I said, that's what the money's for. And that's what being a conference, it's not, you're the one who added these teams. Now they have to play each other.
Right.
And so I'm saying they should do it anyway, but it is, they play hard schedules, and it was kind of weird, getting referenced for that.
That was just seeing it show up at SEC Media Days, and you're like, hey, S&P Plus. All right, strength of schedule. Bill Connelly is our guest, S&P Plus, ESPN national college football writer. His new book, Around the Corner, Forward Progress, as he talks about a history book and a manifesto for the sport that we all love. One of the things I love about you, Bill, is that we get complaints sometimes from 2 local fan bases when we have national voices on, when we don't ask questions about their teams, but at times the people don't know how to answer the questions about their teams because they don't follow them. And that's the beauty of you. Like, we did some interviews with you last year about the situation Oregon State and Washington State were in, and you kind of tracked the history of teams that have gone through that and how you find your way back and your footing. And I'm just curious where you're at on both of them. Playing interesting schedules this year. Oregon State's is difficult at the start. Washington State has some road trips, Ole Miss in there going on the road. I just where they're at right now, Oregon State settling down a little bit in terms of roster retention, and then 1 year away from seemingly joining a normal world again, if you will, of college football and having a conference to play in.
Yeah, when I was entering everybody's schedules in the offseason, I got to October 11th, Washington State at Ole Miss, and I had to kind of fact check that one a little bit. Like, that can't be right.
Right.
But no, like from a scheduling standpoint, they did really well considering all the obstacles these last couple of years. And you're right. Like last year, obviously Washington State, it felt like they were kind of ahead, a decent amount ahead of where Oregon State ended up. And now you're basically the Washington State Jackrabbits. You're bringing in South Dakota State's head coach and a ton of South Dakota State players, which honestly I love. It is going to be, from a culture standpoint and from an identity standpoint, it's going to be a massive shift, and you never, ever, ever know how that's really going to go. Could be Indiana with Kirk Cignetti, could be Jay Norvell with Colorado State. It's going to be really interesting, but I do, the moves that they made make perfect sense. It stinks that they had to make so many moves, that they've had two amazing quarterbacks the last 2 years and lost them both. One of them goes on to be the number one pick elsewhere. And it just kind of it's a cruddy situation, but I do think they're making the moves that make sense to them. And I think they'll be pretty competitive as long as the chemistry behind the scenes is decent. Yeah. As far as Oregon State goes, they fell off a lot more last season, and especially defensively, didn't take on nearly as many transfers as I expected them to defensively, considering how iffy that was. But I guess maybe experience levels will get them up to a certain point, and I do think you can create a pretty decent physical offense around Malik Murphy and Anthony Hankerson. I just don't know. In terms of upside, I think they've got a little more to prove. Yeah, it'll be an interesting year for both of them, and I know they're eagerly awaiting a conference home where then there's something to play for at the end of the year. That's the weird part now, where you still got that Group of 5 AQ spot where it's you win your conference, you got a chance to go to the playoff, and that's huge. And right now you're just kind of in that no man's land purgatory. We talked a couple of times this offseason. Now that we're here, final numbers are coming in about metrics and ratings and how teams are looking. Is this the most jumbled at the top that the sport has been in a while for you? Yeah, I mean that is there are a lot of different ways to define competitive balance, and we're kind of flunking a couple of those ways right now in terms of the separation between power conferences and G5s, the separation between the top and bottom of power conferences. Obviously, that is not in great shape at all right now. But I mean, if we're just going to lean into whatever's positive, the fact that there are 12 teams that are separated by a touchdown at the top of SP Plus right now, heading into the year, with so many new quarterbacks that are going to be counted on, so many new offensive lines, so many new defensive lines, so many new receiving cores, there's a lot of uncertainty at the top. And so at the very least, we can enjoy the fact that a lot of teams might face plant or compete for the national title this year. And it's kind of fun even though I like it when SP Plus does well, it's kind of fun not knowing all the answers here.
It can't be any, ever been harder to predict what's going to happen with all the changing landscape and new players and new faces. And it's almost seemingly impossible year in and year out. I did want to ask about Oregon because I saw on the metrics, it was almost the inverse of the way that I would have ranked it going into the year in terms of how I would rate their offense and how I would rate their defense. What do you make of Oregon, their ceiling, and where do they fit into the bigger picture right now?
Yeah, Oregon was a team. I didn't really internalize just how much they lost from last season until I was getting through the Big Ten and updating rosters and everything, especially with Evan Stewart out. I mean, that's a almost completely brand new offense. And so, with SP Plus, I mean, they're only projected to fall to, I think, 5th on offense, basically because they've been really good there on, in recent years. And it's not. You're right. It's probably they should probably be projected to fall more, while the defense is projected to rise a little bit. But I am really curious. I mean, Will Stein's awesome, and Dante Moore was a 5-star recruit, and there are plenty of former star recruits, but relying heavily on probably at least 2, maybe 3 offensive linemen, not really knowing who's going to get the ball in the receiving core. It is kind of an interesting place to be. Massive, massive, massive upside. But more unknowns than a lot of other top 10 teams.
Yeah, I think one starter on offense is back to your point after the Stewart injury, and that's, if you can go win 10 games after that, I think you've kind of solidified yourself atop of the sport in terms of, recruiting and player development. We're talking with Bill Connelly, the author of the S&P Plus model, one of the best out there, national college football writer for ESPN, at ESPN_. Bill C is where you can go follow him, and then check out his new book coming out soon, Forward Progress, where you can go pre-order now. Penn State is the team that is coming in. It feels like James Franklin has always been the underdog in the Big Ten. Like, we know that they're good, but they can't win the big game, but they're not supposed to because they're always a dog against Ohio State and then Michigan when they're elite. Seems like that role is reversed this year. Are you as high on everybody as everybody else is on Penn State, and are they the team to beat in the conference?
Yeah, I mean, in a year when everybody has a new starting quarterback at the top except Penn State and Clemson, it is a really, really nice opportunity for them. You're right. Like, it's hilarious. You know, college football is known for chaos and unknowns and everything as a whole, but Penn State has eliminated all that. If they're favored, they win. If they're underdogs, they lose. The only two times that I think in the last 3 years they've lost as a favorite, one of them was when they were a half-point favorite against Notre Dame, which doesn't really count. That was a coin toss game that played out like a coin toss game. And then the other one was Ole Miss in the bowl game the year before, which only sort of counts too. And like they just they have the highest floor of anybody except maybe Georgia this year. And we'll just see. Like, Drew Aller still needs a little bit more, and he needs a receiver, a wideout who can actually beat good man coverage occasionally. And I think, you know, with the three really impressive receivers they got, if two of them are good, you would take that. Even with Tyler Warren gone, like, he was such a unique and fun weapon, you would take just a as I've joked, a whiteout shaped whiteout doing whiteout things in tough situations.
Right.
I think you take that trade and you add that to the best running back duo in the country and a really good offensive line, and what we're just going to assume is a great defense, because they always have a great defense, and now they have the best defensive coordinator in the country. Yeah. Sure feels like this is their best opportunity by far. And as weird as it is to find yourself like having to trust Drew Aller, like I would have probably voted them number one this year.
Yeah, the difficulty is going to a year with expectations where now it's like, oh God, we better do it this year. Everybody's already pissed off when we don't do it. Now we're supposed to go do it this year. Seriously. We'll see how the fans react if they don't. I'm curious to ask you mentioned it's so hard to predict the teams that will fall on their face, maybe the teams that surprise a little bit, because how do all these new pieces gel together and rosters change so much? Who are the teams that, I just asked that general question, who are the candidates that stand out to you of like, ooh, I could see that maybe going sideways, or why is this team not getting talked about more as maybe having a legitimate chance at making a run at this thing?
Yeah, I mean, basically the entire top half of the SEC has new quarterbacks, and most of them run around and probably are going to take too many hits this year. Yeah. So, you know, a couple of them are probably going to be out for a decent portion of the year, and it's going to be like you can never really predict how that plays out, but it really was. I mean, at least with Ohio State, you know, you have maybe the best two players in the country to lean on, one on offense, one on defense, but you still have two new coordinators and a redshirt freshman quarterback. But Penn State is a known. Michigan we should have a really, really good defense to lean on, and we know what their identity is. With the SEC, it really is. I mean, Arch Manning took a lot of hits for the number of snaps he took last year, and Ty Simpson, the one time he started for Alabama, it was a couple of years ago against USF. He took like 6 sacks and 18 dropbacks or something like that. Lenore Sellers gets hit a lot. John Mateer gets hit a lot. Injuries are going to play a role in the SEC race, and those who don't get hurt have massive upside and great athleticism. And, so it really, the top half of the SEC is a big mystery to me this year. And I mean, that's good place to be. That should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it'll be a fun conference to follow. Speaking of that, we get a conference game right out of the gate tomorrow in Ireland, which is probably going to be the most chaotic conference race. I felt like there was half the conference in the last week of the regular season last year had a chance to still make their way into the conference title game if certain things were to happen. It's interesting to start the year with a conference game. It hasn't happened much in the history of Oregon, but I remember when it did, it was very weird right out of the gate, not getting a cupcake or a non-conference game. What do you make of the Big 12 race? Is it Arizona State's to lose? How many teams have a viable pathway to winning the Big 12 this year?
Well, depending on your definition, I guess, like it's either 6 or 16. We learned that last year. The team that wins the close games could go a long way. Arizona State kind of bought itself time for the first 2 months by just winning a bunch of close games against pretty mediocre teams for the most part. They were like 52nd at SP Plus at the start of November. And then by the end of the year, they looked like one of the 5 or 10 best teams in the country. So first of all, with Arizona State, that does make them kind of a mystery. Like they could be legitimately top 15 good again, but they're probably not going to win all those close games again. And, that could damage them. But I am curious about, first of all, Kansas State, I think, has probably the most upside of anybody outside of Arizona State because of Avery Johnson. When he was poor last year, he was horrendous, but he had a lot of really big, he created a lot of big plays for an offense that doesn't necessarily do a lot of that. And I think their upside is still enormous if he just kind of develops as a second-year starter, often does. He's still got weapons around him, too. So, this is huge just because, you do figure the Big 12 favorites are Arizona State and whoever wins on Saturday. So there are legit stakes in this game right out of the gate. But but that's exciting because I used to joke about every game in the Big 12 is decided by 3 points, and every year we get actually closer to that not being a joke. And hopefully it starts with a dynamite one tomorrow.
No doubt about that. Last one I got for you, Bill, and we'll let you go. Appreciate the time this morning. One of those conversations that I just don't follow closely enough, but it impacts the playoff every single year, and that is that automatic spot for the group of 5. We saw Boise State get it last year, winning over UNLV. Now UNLV lost their coach. I think they're a fascinating team this year where, Dan Mullen's kind of turned that into last chance you, former blue chip recruits who didn't work out, come on down. I think they got like 35 new transfers or former Power 4 players, something like that on their roster. Who else stands out? Tulane is a usual candidate here. Boise State, obviously. Who are the group of 5 contenders that you're keeping an eye on having a legit shot at making it?
Yeah, it does feel like Boise State starts way out ahead of the pack, both because of where they were last year. And, I mean, obviously, you lose the best running back in the country. That's going to hurt. But they have what appears on paper to be a really talented running back core anyway, and they return a ton elsewhere. Their offensive line was a disaster last year. They had to start like 11 different guys at one point, but it held up, and now most of those guys return. Maddox Madsen survived as a redshirt freshman and had some really nice moments. The defense has at least one really, really, really good pass rusher still. It just feels like they're easily the most trustworthy team. But you're right, like UNLV is in a weird situation where they've only succeeded big time under one coach, and he just left, and that's usually where things fall apart. But also they have more blue chippers than a lot of power conference rosters do, and that they're going to be super dangerous in that regard. And between Tulane, Memphis, and UTSA, I do think one big-time candidate emerges. Memphis has a ton to replace. Tulane does too, I guess, but they brought in a lot of interesting transfers. And UTSA was really good at the end of last season, and they kind of have they have a schedule where they're going to be underdogs against A&M, and they might not be underdogs the rest of the way. So it is going to be a fun race in the AAC. It's hard for me to find a Conference USA team or a MAC team, and Sun Belt has a bunch of good teams that'll probably beat each other up. But I do think that's basically your list is Boise, UNLV, and then one of those 3.
Yeah, can't wait. Great stuff. We get week 0 tomorrow, a little bit of a tease, and then we get the full slate kicking in next week. He is the best out there. Bill Connelly, a national college football writer for ESPN, the author behind S&P Plus at ESPN_Bill C. Go give him a follow and check out his new book coming out in the next 2 weeks, Forward Progress, where you can pre-order it now. Bill, we always appreciate the time, man. Happy college football kickoff week to you, and hopefully we can do this again soon.
Absolutely. Take care.
There you go. Bill Connelly of ESPN. Great stuff from him on that race to be the G5 team. Maybe it's Boise again this year, but losing Genty, that's such a big piece. UNLV surprising people. We'll see who it ends up being. Jumbled at the top, man. Did we buy Penn State? Let's talk a little bit about that. React to what Connelly had to say there. Coming up next, 105.1 FM, The Fan.
a.m.
All right, Mike Jorgensson coming up top of the hour. Did you know, Jason Swigard, that Football Talk on the Fan is presented by Paramount Plus? Did you know that you can't count on much these days, but you can't always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus? Watch your local NFL game live every Sunday on CBS and Paramount Plus all season long. Visit ParamountPlus.com/NFL to get started today.
There we go. And you get they get their preseason game tonight. CBS, Coin 6.
Oh, they're doing their big national game, huh?
They got theirs tonight.
We got Tony Romo. Jim. We get that tonight?
Yeah, we get Titans-Vikings tonight.
Okay, is Cam Ward playing?
I'm going to guess no.
Yeah.
And certainly no more than a series. Maybe they want him to go through the pregame process once again, but I think he's done enough, and they don't have anything else behind him, so I don't think there's any way.
I mean, I get it at this point, right? I mean, you've played a couple of games, got some series in. Like, let's just get to the season. I did chuckle that the Colts are not playing Anthony Richardson in their final preseason game.
That one, I don't know what they're doing there.
It is one of the most dumbfounding.
There's internal stuff. I don't know if Steichen's just like, I'm done with this guy.
Maybe he's a pain to work with behind the scenes.
I have
Who knows,
no idea. But that one doesn't make any
He's not
sense.
your starter, so you're not. And it was like basically like we're trying to protect him, but he's not starting. And you've said Daniel Jones is going to play all year, but you don't want to get your guy who desperately needs more reps. Okay, all right. To each their own. A quick thought here, by the way, your Sprague and Line sponsors are welcome, 503-864-6326. We'll do that coming up at 9:30. The show is just flown by. That's what happens in football season, baby. Somebody chiming in saying, a little disappointed, Dirt. A little disappointed in you today.
Oh.
Sprague's not here. Thought we'd already have spent an hour breaking down Edmonton's chances of finally breaking through to win a Stanley Cup, followed by Scotty's race to 19 majors, not taking advantage of the time that you have. I apologize for that. Hockey Talk the day before football starts, I think might have a few people turn the radio off.
I am going in October to see Edmonton at the Kraken.
Ooh, you're going to go
on a Saturday in October.
I'd love to get up to Edmonton and see a game.
So we are there's a bunch of us going up. So
do you see, by the way, now I am going to talk about hockey. Thank you. Your goal was accomplished. Did you see the Winterhawks are putting in LED boards at the Memorial Coliseum?
Awesome.
Around the ice rink.
Sweet.
It was just announced the other day. They're doing this massive renovation, which I'm sure every Blazer fan who hears that who doesn't care about hockey is like, why are we not tearing that place down to build a new arena? To which I would say, don't generally disagree with the point, but they are putting a lot of money into the Coliseum this year. They've torn out all the seats. They're doing like a new suite level
hockey team. So
new LED boards around the rink.
Awesome.
Like, dude, they're putting a lot of money into that thing. So there you go. You wiggled some hockey talk into the show today. Are you happy? Look what you did to me. And Scotty Scheffler, if he wins again, ESPN came out with a graphic. They did one of these like tweets with like the faces of all the biggest athletes in sports, and Scotty Scheffler was not on it. And everybody's like, wait, that might be the best golfer since Tiger. Is the best golfer since Tiger. Might win again this weekend. Maybe should be included in a list of the elite athletes.
Yeah, we'll see.
Right now.
This is the question right now is, can he sustain this? Can he win
keep
4, 5, 6 events and at least one major
next year?
Like for another 4 or 5 years.
And for everybody who is interested in following at the end of September, for the love of God, Scotty Scheffler, bring your A game. Because if you don't, the Americans are going to get run off of American soil and get killed by the Europeans in the Ryder Cup.
Points.
Yes, he's got to win we need you, Scotty. Don't let us down.
If Sprague wants to take a day off, the problem that week is it's a big football
Oregon,
weekend.
Penn State. That's too big of a weekend, yeah.
But yeah, if he needs to duck out early on one day, we can go an hour on the Ryder Cup, you and me, easily.
I thought about asking a poll question of what week should I find a babysitter for Teddy Ballgame for the weekend and like ranking the events that are going on. That is my leader in the clubhouse right now. Because I got Oregon at Penn State, which I want to watch without being interrupted. And then the Ryder Cup all weekend. There's also some great NFL games and some other good college games. So that's my leader in the clubhouse right now. Speaking of Oregon and Penn State, how about a Duck preview? They come in at number 6 on the preseason Dirty Poll. Mike Jorgensson, the color analyst of the Oregon Ducks, he's going to join us to start the final hour. Don't forget to get your Sprague and Line sponsors in coming up at 9:30. We'll do that. A little gambling. Final preseason week for us. Loaded final hour. Don't go anywhere. Dirt and Sprague on 105.1 FM.
Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
First on the Fan, final week of the NFL preseason wraps up this weekend. 4 games for you this evening. 2 of them will be live on TV. CBS, 5 o'clock. Titans hosting the Vikings. Tennessee, a 4.5-point favorite. Also at 5 on the NFL Network, the Cowboys entertaining the Falcons. Dallas, 2.5-point favorites. The other games tonight, 4:30 in New York. Jets host the Eagles. And at 5:20, the Chiefs hosting the Bears. Seahawks wrap things up tomorrow at Lambeau Field against the Packers. 1 p.m. kick, 11 a.m. pregame right here on the Fan. Rookie quarterback Jalen Milroe expected to play the entire way for Seattle. Round 2 of the PGA Tour Championship at East Lake Country Club in Atlanta. First-round leader Russell Henley has seen his lead trimmed to 1 shot. He's at 9 under. Tommy Fleetwood is at 8 under. Scotty Scheffler, Justin Thomas in a group at 7 under. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigard from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work. Insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Recruiting with
This final hour, Dirty Sprague here on Portland Sports Leader, 105.1 FM, The Fan, 1080 AM, the Odyssey app, live on YouTube. Happy Football Friday, everybody. Got a lot to get to in the final hour of the show. College football has officially returned. Very excited about that.
Hog 'em up, Sikorsky.
Yeah, what's up, guys? How y'all doing?
Get the out of here.
Can't wait, baby. College football's back. Get to watch it on TV tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then the full slate returns next week. We'll Sprague line coming up at 9:30, so keep those fake sponsors rolling in. 503-864-6326. That is the Fan text line. We start the final hour, though, with the next team up on the preseason Dirty Poll. We're almost to the top 5. A little bit higher on the Ducks here than some national publications. I have them at number 6 going into the season. And joining us now for a preview of the Ducks is a man who's starting next weekend. You will hear right here on 105.1 FM, The Fan. The color analyst of the Oregon Ducks, Mike Jorgensson, at Jorgie_Mike on Twitter. Jorgie, good morning to you. How was the offseason, buddy? How we doing?
Hey, doing good. It's been a good summer. Football's here, ready to go. You know, I think everybody is. Everybody is biting at the bit to get this thing going. I was out at Oxford Stadium last night with a bunch of sponsors, and they're excited. So let's go. It's go time.
I mean, it is go time, Jorgie. This is a unique team this year where a few more known entities, I would say, maybe a year ago going into the season, especially at quarterback. Whereas this year, they're flying a little more under the radar. Now, you know, that's still a top 10 ranked team going into the season and, you know, one of the odds-on favorites to win the conference championship. But there's a lot of unknowns about this team, but I would say that they feel great about the level of talent. Now that you're, you know, getting in the swing of things and watching practice and we're a week away from starting, I'm just kind of 30,000-foot view. Where are they at in your mind going into the season?
Well, yes to everything you just said right there. I mean, I think they've got the talent. There's no doubt about it. But you got to get playing time together. You got to get game time together and get past the practices and begin to get game snaps in and that experience that you need from that young talent, because it's going to be different when all of a sudden there's 50, 60,000 people in the stands and you're playing against a different color than your own guys. And so you take a look at the group, and really all the production, particularly on offense, that's the first thing that sticks out to me is the production that you don't have anymore. I mean, you had Dylan Gabriel doing what he was doing, Tez, Terrence Ferguson, Trayshawn Holden, Jordan James. You think about all the yards, all the receiving yards, all the touchdowns, all the different things. All those guys are gone. And so now you're bringing in a bunch of guys that are pretty good. There's no doubt about it. Really, Kenyon Sadiq is the main name that you look at. And so, you know as well as I do, when you've got that many alphas on offense that you've lost, and you had to defend them with that many alphas, that's why our teams had such a difficult time defending this team last year. And so a lot of young talent, particularly at the wide receiver position, a lot of young talent there, and a boatload of running backs. Don't know who it's going to be, but those are the type of things that you need to produce. I think defensively they're pretty solid. I really do. But offensively, there's going to be some questions.
I do want to get to the defense in a moment with you, Jorgie, because I'm very curious and very excited to see what they look like this year, just in terms of the size and the measurables that are standing out of, man, this looks like a defense that has a lot of potential. I'm curious as a former quarterback, and obviously, I mean, the game has changed so much and evolved and drastically different offenses, but as a former quarterback, when you watch the way Will Stein calls an offense, like I was doing a hit yesterday previewing Oregon, and somebody asked me how big of a concern Dante Moore was, assuming he wins the job. And I said, it's not that big of a concern for me, mainly because of the offense that he plays in. As somebody who played that position at a high level, what is it about the offense that you think makes it one where it's attractive to quarterbacks, one, but they're also being put in a position to succeed?
Well, that's what Will Stein does such a great job of, is he puts them into the role that they feel the best. He doesn't try to make them somebody they're not. I mean, he's not going to make, if it ends up from a quarterback position, if it ends up more, he's not going to try to make him do what Marcus Mariota did. He's not going to run for 1,000 yards. He's mobile, but at the same time, his arm is so talented, he's going to put him in a position with athletes in open space, the Decorian Moores, the Dyer Hills from a running back standpoint, young guys like that he's going to put into open space. That's what Will Stein does such a good job of. And that's what I think has been the case all the way through. I mean, he was, pretty fortunate to have a guy like, Bone Hicks or Dylan Gabriel, two guys that started over 120 games combined in their careers, to be able to have guys come in and played that many snaps. He does it if it's more, because he's only started 5 games in his career, and none of the other guys have started at all. But he knows what the talent level is. He puts guys in space in particular, like he's going to do with Kenyon Sadiq. Kenyon Sadiq is bigger, stronger, faster, so he's going to can be that traditional tight end, but he's a freak of an athlete, so he's going to put him in matchups that this team can take advantage of. And that's what I really like about what Will Stein does, is he puts guys in matchups and in situations that suit what their talent is, and he's going to do that with whoever the quarterback is as well.
Yeah, we're talking with Mike Jorgensson, color analyst of the Ducks. You could hear him every weekend, starting next weekend right here on The Fan as Ducks games kick off on 105.1 FM. The Fan will be down there for the pregame show next week and have Jorgie on for that as well. Give him a follow on Twitter at Jorgie_Mike. Last one offensively for you, Jorgie. Just the offensive line was such a disaster early in the season last year. And the close game against Idaho and the uncomfortable game against Boise, and they just really struggled. And where are we at there this year where it's an experienced group but no experience together? What's kind of standing out when you see those guys, and how do you feel that group being ready to hit the ground running year one?
I mean, everything that you're saying is exactly the way it's going to approach this first game, second game, third game. It's guys need game snaps together. The talent is there, the Isaiah Worlds and the people like that they've plugged in for the Josh Connerleys. They're just as talented, but they haven't played together. And any time I think you've got the anchor, Lalaulu, at the center position as the main anchor of that offensive line, if there's one guy I want back, my experienced guy, it's a center who's played at a high level, because he directs the traffic at the line of scrimmage along with the quarterback. And so that's what they do have. They've got the talent on the outside, but what they have to do is gel. And gelling only comes with time, as we saw last year. Idaho, Boise State, I mean, a lot of those preseason games, and by the time you get to about game 3 or 4, the rhythm sets in. Now, the hope is that you do it way before then.
Right.
But that's the way. But that's the way this team's going to be this year. And if they get there way before then that'll really tell you something, and they're off to the races. But that's going to be the case, I think, with the offensive line, the receivers. This whole offense, for the most part, is going to take probably 2 or 3 or 4 games to really get in rhythm. But the pieces are there. Now they just need the game snaps.
Yeah, it's a good thing that Penn State game is game 4 and not game 1. Yeah. Give you to warm up and get ready for it. Jorgie, for me, the defense, sky's the limit. I love what's going to be on this side of the ball. As you've gotten a chance to get around them and see them, just kind of what are some of the intangibles that are standing out when you watch that group and Dan Lanning cooking here in year 4?
Well, it's always the outside linebackers. I'll tell you. I mean, they with Uiagalelei and Purchase and Tuioti and guys like Nasir Wyatt and Elijah Rushing, they're really deep at that position and talented. And those guys they're really good players. There's no doubt about it. But they benefited from guys like Derek Harmon and Jamari Caldwell last year because they disrupted things on the inside so badly. A quarterback, if he was going to try to get outside the pocket, had nowhere to go because the mop-up duty was done by some talented guys on the outside. And I think they got a chance to be able to do that this year, too, with Amari Washington and Bear Alexander, Tion Gray, to disrupt the interior so those guys can take care of the outside. But a guy like Blake Purchase, man, I tell you, he's changed. And I don't know if he's lightened up or what it is, but he's a second faster. He's way quicker. He's a guy who has stuck out during fall ball to go along with Tuyori and Uiagalelei. I mean, they're deep at that position. Guys are going to be fresh. And then in the secondary, I think, and obviously getting Thieneman from Purdue, people are going to love the way he plays. Everything he does is so sudden. He just, boom, makes the decision. He's Johnny on the spot, delivers the blow, very physical from the free safety position. Theron Johnson, the corner transfer from Northwestern, is very good too. The linebacker position is really shored up. So I'm excited to see this defense play because I think in the early part of the season, that's what the team is going to have to rely on a little bit is the play of the defense to really carry the offense before the offense catches up.
Yeah, I love pointing out Blake Purchase, a guy that we kind of forgot about at times last year who had such a big impact as a freshman and then for whatever reason, to your point, kind of fell out of the rotation. It wasn't as big of a snap count player last year and now seemingly back on track and ready to make a big impact this year as a dominant pass rusher. When you take a look at the schedule, Jorgie, a lot of miles getting traveled, right? You get Oklahoma State non-conference. The Penn State game, obviously. What are the little notes that stand out to you as you started jotting down like a little trap games or that might be difficult or a road trip you're excited for? What stands out schedule-wise for you?
Well, I'm excited to get back to Iowa. That's always a fun place to go to, but it's been a long, long time. Very first game I did as a broadcaster was at Iowa.
What year was there, Jorgie? What year was there?
Jeez, I think that was in 1989. How about that?
89, a road game at Iowa. Wow.
Yeah. So we'll return there. Look forward to it. Going to Rutgers, Piscataway. Yeah. Looking forward to go. 2 new states I've never been to, Pennsylvania, New Jersey this year. So that'll be kind of fun. But I think the tough games that they have, you can't trip up on anything. But obviously that whiteout Penn State late September is going to be a great one. They go 2 weeks later back to New Jersey to play Rutgers. So 2 long road trips with a break in between. The Washington game to end the season is going to be difficult because I think the Huskies are going to be better this year. And you get to that last game of the season, you don't know where you're going to stand, needing a win to get to the playoff or a loss kicks you out of it potentially. You just never know what's going to happen with that. But, yeah, looking forward to those trips. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. There's games that I'm glad that Oregon doesn't have to travel to, like the Lincoln maybe with Nebraska or Illinois is going to be, I think, a lot better this year. There's trips like that I'm glad they don't have to make. The schedule, I think, lays out really good for them, and just a lot to be excited for. But this team needs to grow, and it will grow very quickly. I know Dan Lanning loves the makeup of the team, and from what I've seen in practice, I really do too.
Now, this is a dumb question because broadcasting much different than playing. But being on those flights and all the travel, that was a big talking point last year of like 2 time zones and how are you going to handle it. This year's even more. I think there's only 2 or 3 maybe teams in the country who travel more. One of them's Hawaii, who obviously will, and then Stanford, who plays a non-conference game at Hawaii and plays their conference games in the ACC. So a lot of miles. You mentioned that back-to-back games with a bye week in between of Pennsylvania and then all the way out to Rutgers. How did you feel it last year? How did you think the team handled it? And that's just a new thing that they're trying to adjust to in the new conference.
Yeah, I think they adjusted well last year. I really don't think it impacted them whatsoever. And if those games, I believe they are. I know the whiteout is a late game. Yeah. So, you've got a day and a half or 2 to be able to adjust to the time zone differences and that type of deal. But, I got to tell you, when you're 21, 22, 18 years old, you don't give a crap, man. Those guys are so resilient. You go play football, you put on the helmet and the pads, and you get after it. So it's us old guy fans that end up paying the price 2 or 3 days later. So
not quite built like we used to. Mike Jorgensson. No. What year is this of you and Jerry working together now? You mentioned 89 as your start. Was Jerry doing games in 89?
Yeah. This will be Jerry's 39th year, my 37th, if you can believe that. Crazy. Just absolutely crazy.
Man, you guys are legends. So fun. I can't wait to see you next weekend in the shorts. I know you're ready to go. Off season is over. Football season is here, baby. Mike Jorgensson, color analyst of the Oregon Ducks. Go give him a follow on Twitter at Jorgie_Mike. Thanks for the time this morning, buddy. Great catching up, and we'll see you next weekend.
Yeah, I look forward to it. Thank you.
There you go. Mike Jorgensson, color analyst of the Oregon Ducks, as they get ready for the season to begin next week. That is insane. I didn't want to tell him there and age himself that he started calling games the year I was born. They have been working together my entire life. I didn't realize that they were that long tenured. I knew that they had been working together forever. I didn't realize it started in 89.
I was actually still in high school, so just starting college.
Dude, they've been doing it forever, man. Jorgie's the best. He's one of those guys. He walks up, puts a smile on your face immediately. Great character.
Yes, he and I are the founding members of the I Hate Pants.
He will not wear pants, no matter the weather. He will not do it.
I'm trying to figure out the appropriate time for pilots. Like, how nice do they need to be if I can work it in?
I think you can on the court side. You'll be all right. A little bit warmer in gyms. You'll be fine in shorts. Class it up a little bit. Great stuff from Jorgie there. We will Sprague the line coming up bottom of the hour. Let's chew on this bone a little bit more, if you will. Though some great stuff there from Jorgie about the Ducks and their upcoming season. Some of the question marks. They are the number 6 team in the preseason dirty poll. Next week we get the top 5 leading into the kickoff of everybody, which ends with Georgia, the number 1 team on Friday. A little more on this, and then we'll Sprague the line back after this. 105.1 FM, The Fan. 22. We'll Sprague the line 10 minutes from now. Get your fake sponsors in. Last call, 503-864-6326. Do some gambling. See who we like in week 0. We already got Sprague's picks. We'll alert you. He made a phone call live on his Hood to Coast run. Hopefully stop for a dilly bar after, partially along the way.
Maybe get a dilly bar, a dip cone, or a blizzard.
Ooh, what would be his? Probably dip cone.
See, I see him as old school dip cone.
Yeah, that's probably his go-to. That's a good call there. So that happened earlier today. We got his picks. We have actual college games. I got my 3 games all picked out. We'll see who Swag likes. We'll do some fake sponsors. That is right around the corner. We got a debate in the YouTube chat about Oregon's home schedule this year, which it's not what it has been. Like Ohio State, when you have a game like that, and then the Huskies trying to end that losing streak last year, like those were immediately big games that you circled. And Ohio State ended up being one of the biggest games in the history of the program. It's not a great home slate this year, although I will say there are under-the-radar games a little bit.
Oklahoma State could be fun.
Like Mike Gundy coming to town. There's fun coach storylines coming to town. Like Mike Gundy coming in week 2. I have no clue what Oklahoma State's going to be this year. Total question mark for me. Maybe they push him. Maybe they don't. Maybe Oregon kills them. I don't know. But it's Gundy
coming if Indiana is off to a hot start again.
Yes, if they're ranked somehow in that game.
They're ranked, and we have Google me, bitch stuff going on.
and that's after the Penn State game, too. So mind you, what if Oregon wins that game and then you're hosting Indiana? That might take on massive significance.
Yeah, let's see who Indiana has.
Yeah, see what their schedule lines up. Because I know Oregon goes Penn State, then they have a bye.
So they got the 3 gimmies to start.
Yes.
They get Illinois at home, and Illinois is highly thought of.
Yes, they are.
Then they're at Iowa.
So they could either
if they're 5-0 and they've taken down Illinois and Iowa,
they're already ranked to begin with. And if you win those 2 games,
you're looking at more. Here comes Saturday night on NBC right there. Could be back to
Saturday night, and then you get USC at the end of the year with a chance. Anytime you have an opportunity to stuff Lincoln Riley into a locker, I get excited about that.
Yep.
And so that's a fun one nearing the end of the season. 2 old Pac-12 foes to end their year in USC and Washington. So no, there's not like a Penn State, Ohio State. There's not that marquee game, if you will, this year.
Friday night with PJ Fleck and rolling the boat.
It's an underrated home schedule. Now they probably asked for a price increase on your ticket. So for that, from Ohio State to this, you might be going, but that's just the world we live in. I'll tell you what, man. I don't know if it's. Part of it's the danger of we do this every year with the Hard Knocks team. I don't know if you're this way when in years you watch Hard Knocks. I've seen 2 of the episodes, but not all of them. When you get the preseason documentary, it almost always ups your anticipation level and expectations for the team, just because the documentaries make them look so good and they're making plays and the vibes seem great and all that. Oregon's documentary is doing that to me in a shocking development because they came out with their latest episode yesterday. It was a great behind-the-scenes look at the training staff. Trey McNutt, the freshman who broke his leg, they go through his rehab process, and he's interviewed in it. Some of the guys in their backstories about things they've had to overcome in their lives. And, one of their corners talked about growing up homeless and living out of hotels until he was 5. And so all of these struggles in training camp, he's like, this is great. It's a blessing because I'm not homeless anymore. So there's great backstories there. I continue to be very excited about how this stuff will shape out in the weeks to come because there's so many unknowns in terms of the inexperienced players and who will play at a high level for you. But there seems to be a belief from that coaching staff, from everything that they've said in the last handful of weeks, that the number of guys they're going to rotate is going to be very interesting. I think they look at the cornerback position, for example, and feel like they got 6 or 7 guys that they can play regularly and be above the line players. And so you can switch it up depending on matchups and who you're playing. Is it a bigger body receiver? You got to make sure your big corners are in there. Is it more of a zone defensive team or a team you want to play zone against? Maybe you change up your corners. Maybe your young freshman corners who are having nice camps aren't quite ready in week 1. But by the time you get to week 7 or week 8, guys like Naeem Offord and Brandon Finney are going to be ready to go. So I just think the versatility and the number of players that they can play, it has never been more important in the sport of college football to have competitive depth. The season has never been longer. If you go to a conference championship game, that's 13 plus 3 or 4 more playoff games, depending on where your seeding is going to be. You have to be built for a gauntlet, and guys are going to get hurt. And that, to me, is one of the most exciting things. While a lot of their roster is unknown and a question mark about how they'll play, they feel like they have a lot of guys that are above the line players, and now it's got to pan out. We'll find out starting next week against Montana State and see where they go. But defensively, a lot is going to get made of the offense, and Dante Moore being a new starting quarterback and wide receiver position. There's no Evan Stewart. Can De'Corian Moore be a number 1? I am so excited to see this defense, man. Like Elijah Rushing to me is going to be a household name halfway through the year. Amari Washington's going to be a household name halfway through the year. They have been spending 2 to 3 years building this thing out a certain way, and now all of this is ready to kind of explode.
And if you go back in your Ducks history, every single time the Ducks have had a special team, it's been because they've had a dominant defense. Go back to the Gang Green days and whatever. The offense always seems to find a way. You know, you can't, and in today's college football, you can't go make a run at a college football playoff or those sorts of things unless your offense is efficient to a certain degree. Now, how you go about do it, if you're more run prevalent or, you know, however you do it, changes based on your personnel, but you ultimately put points up on the board. But every year Oregon has had a special team, it's been because the defense was dominant.
I mean, you go back to that 2014 team, everybody talks about Mariota winning a Heisman Trophy, which he was unbelievable. And then you had DeForest Buckner and Eric Armstead on the defensive line, and that had a little something to do with them making it to the national championship game that year. So I think it's a totally valid point. I don't know, man, a lot of excitement. There's not quite the same expectations going into the year as maybe there was last year nationally from some people. The conversation was, is this the most talented team? I just think getting to a point now where you're almost legitimately asking that question every single year is one of the most exciting parts of, man, you lost so much to the NFL. You set a program record for draft picks. There's one starter returning on offense. And now we're asking the question, is this the most talented team? Like, I will just say this from a size perspective. I've been on the sideline of Oregon games since 2009-ish. Now, not every game, not every year, but roughly in that era, right? Like right when things took off for Chip, I was a student down there. Last year was the first year it kind of dawned on me walking around pregame of like, oh my God, they've never been this big. Now, size doesn't always translate. Some big guys are softies and they can't play, and maybe they're out of shape, whatever. But just from an overall physical, just being physically impressive and intimidating. Like I remember walking the sideline of the Georgia-Oregon game the first year Lanning took over and thinking, hey, maybe they cover, maybe they hang. And I've told this story a million times on the air, but I walk around the sidelines of Mercedes-Benz Stadium and you go over to the Georgia sideline and you immediately know, like, oh, God, this is not going to go well. There's a massive advantage one way. Oregon's trending in that direction now. They just, when you see them, their defensive line and the prospects, and now the offensive line to match it with some of these behemoths they have up front. Never been bigger, man. Exciting. Kicks off next week right here on The Fan against Montana State. They're number 6 in the preseason dirty poll. Let's do some gambling. You ready? You got your picks ready to go? All right, who are we gambling on? Week 0 picks, Sprague in the line, final preseason edition for us. We got Sprague's picks, we'll remind you. We'll read your fake sponsors. That is next. But first, here's us with a update.
Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Brought to you by Mountaintop Metal Roofing. No maintenance, energy efficient, fire resistant, and that lifetime warranty. Do it once, do it right. Visit mountaintopmetalroofing.com. First on the Fan, an actual note. Adam Schefter reporting the Commanders are sending running back Brian Robinson to the 49ers in exchange for a 6th-round pick. The LPGA Tour is up north of the border for the CPKC Women's Open. Akaye Iwai, who won at Portland last week, your current leader at 8 under par. All eyes, though, on the 15-year-old amateur Aphrodite Dang, who became the first Canadian to win the U.S. Girls Junior Championship in the mix, 5 under par, and is at 15 is the 22nd ranked women's amateur player in the world.
It's a hell of a name, too, to go with it. I thought this was interesting yesterday. We know that they dominate Sunday Night Football because NBC has for a while. They've now entered into a new agreement with the NBA, and as soon as Sunday Night Football is over, they're going to start Sunday Night Basketball.
Yes.
And the report now is that NBC and MLB might be nearing a deal worth $200 million per season for Sunday Night Baseball to go to NBC, which means NBC would own Sunday night sports programming 12 months of the year, which I think is a brilliant play of all these different sports. Come here Sunday night, you know you're going to get a primetime game.
They can't beat 60 minutes with normal programming, so let's get some sports.
What can handle it? Maybe sports can.
There you go. More LPGA and TV sports programming stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigard from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt missing work. Insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Your home for
Sprague and the line.
See what we got here today. Sprague and the line brought to you by Josh Pate Flying Private. After betting Sprague picks, I can't even afford to walk. We've all been there, man. Sprague and line brought to you by In-N-Out, the only bigger waste of time and energy than listening to Sprague's gambling advice. Yeah. Touche. Look, we will unify an anti-In-N-Out stances here. Sprague's not here to be a California bro talking about how good their burgers are.
No.
It's overrated.
It's a burger.
It's a burger. You got to get it animal style. Sprague and Line brought to you by a phone call from Brandon. It could be about your dead dad or a parlay for the weekend, but it's going to end in sadness. That's a really good inside joke one. Sprague and Line brought to you by Dirt's Fart Sanctuary in the studio today. Still not as stinky as Sprague's gambling logic. Yeah, the brand man walked in earlier. I had to give him a little heads up of, just so you know.
Letting it fly in here this morning.
Just so you know.
Exploring the space.
Now, I do have it much cooler in here than we usually do. Sprague weighs like 14 pounds, so he's got to turn the temp up to 80 degrees.
He has no insulation whatsoever.
No insulation, and I sweat the entire show. So I will say, at least for farting conditions, cooler weather, it kind of comes and goes a lot easier. If it's hot in here and you let them rip, they're going to linger. Sprague and Line brought to you by the First Clock, still more accurate than a Sprague pick.
Thanks, Crucker.
Sprague and Line brought to you by running the hood to coast with Band-Aids on Sprague's nipples to prevent chafing. Yeah, I think he's a Band-Aid on the nipple guy.
When did he get shirtless? That's the question. Was he shirtless? We forgot to ask that.
That is true.
Because it was, I don't know.
Does every fabric make your nipples bleed if you do it long enough, or is it certain fabrics only?
I think most of them.
Most of them will make them bleed.
If you're out there huffing and puffing
rubbing
for a
around.
while.
Yeah. Sprague and Line brought to you by Skid Mark Wipes. Cleans your hood to coast streaks before the van reeks. See here, two more here. Sprague and Line brought to you by Nasty Hood to Coast Porta Potties. I would rather use one of those than take a Sprague pick. And last but not least, Sprague and Line brought to you by Hope and the Mariners. Just like a Sprague pick, both are bound to disappoint you. Who they got tonight? The A's tonight?
They have the A's before they get the Padres to start next week.
Ooh, good luck.
Dodgers and Padres in San Diego.
Oh, they're playing again this weekend? And we got Yankees Red Sox this weekend, right?
Yankees Red Sox this weekend.
What's the Sunday night game?
Yankees Red Sox.
Of course it is.
Right here on the Fan Sports Network.
I can't wait. I need more Yankees Red Sox in my life. I wake up every day saying, how do I get more Yankees Red Sox in my life? Thankfully, ESPN has answered the call there. Let's remind you of Sprague's picks. He is taking Iowa State. Now, the line at A&A is 3.5. I'll grant him the hook. We'll give him the hook there.
Okay. He's taking Iowa State?
He's taking Iowa State. He loves Stanford on the road, plus the 2. At Hawaii, that's what A&A has the line at, plus 2.
Yes.
And then I believe he took Kansas minus 13, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
That was his last pick. Okay. Kansas minus 13 against Fresno State. Jason Swigart, who do we like this week?
I, too, will take Iowa State. The last 4 of the last 5 games played in Dublin, college football games, have been field goal or less games. The only blowout was Notre Dame taking Navy behind the woodshed.
Okay.
2014, Penn State beat Central Florida 26-24. 2016, Georgia Tech beat Boston College 17-14.
They've been doing this game that long?
They go all the way back to 1988. Boston College and Army played over there in the old Emerald Isle Classic.
Okay.
Northwestern beat Nebraska 31-28 in 2022.
I remember that one.
Georgia Tech 17-14 over Boston College. And Georgia Tech last year started the Florida State implosion 24-21. So this game will come down to a field goal. And so I will just take it on points if I'm getting the hook. It's a field goal game.
Okay. My first pick of the week will be the opposite of both of you. I'm going the other direction for week
some experience.
One. I'm super high on Kansas State. Look, there's a little bit of the dirty pull up for that's little bit riding on this game for me this weekend. I got Kansas State ranked in my top 12. If they lose in week 0, I didn't even get to week 1, and one of my teams might already be eliminated from playoff conversation because it is a conference game. I genuinely do like what Kansas State has this year. I don't like some of the injuries going into the game, but I'm a big Avery Johnson guy. I think they got a dynamic backfield. They feel good about their offensive line and maybe the best defense in the conference. I just think Kansas State is ready, more so than Iowa State, who's only returning Rocco back to a player here or there. Love the Wildcats this weekend, minus 3.5.
I will get, I wish it would get to 14, but 13.5, Fresno State. You've got a Warner at quarterback there. Kansas, I know that they're trying to, they've got all that money rolling in, but they're still trying to build that program early in the season. I think I'll take the points. That game has the potential to be a lot closer.
Sure.
One of those things similar to what Oregon dealt with last year early in the season. You just
never know what teams are going to look like in week 1 and week 0.
Who's ready to go? You've got a veteran, experienced quarterback there for Fresno State to keep things close.
Yeah, it's funny. We're already we're off last trial weekend. We're going opposites, so we'll see how this works out for us. I love Kansas this weekend at home. The new stadium opening up, the weed in the end zone. Daniels returning a quarterback. I think Kansas this year is going to try and learn their lesson from last year, and that lesson from last year was they got off to a horrific start in the first month of the season. They were terrible out of the gate. And remember, they were a team coming into last season with a lot of hype, a lot of promise, a lot of optimism, kind of a trendy pick in the Big 12. Could it be Kansas this year? They lost to Illinois early in the season, which didn't seem like a bad loss at the time, but aged better. They lost to UNLV in week 3 by a field goal. I remember that game. That was, again, UNLV ended up being better than we thought, so not a terrible loss. Lost by 1 possession game to West Virginia, lost to TCU, and then lost to Arizona State. This is a Kansas team that started 1-5 and finished the season 5-7. They got going in the back half of the year despite getting killed in the final week by Baylor. So they climbed all their way back almost to 500. I think they learned their lesson from last year. They're at home. I don't think they're going to get off to that same slow start. I think they win the game by 2 touchdowns. Give me Kansas minus 13.5.
Then we wrap it up. Stanford at Hawaii. So much is different for Stanford.
Yes.
Hawaii has the comfort of being home. I think they're trying to really get that program back, and they're trying to get people involved. The new stadium will be coming. They're trying to keep it afloat. I just think the fighting Timmy Changs.
Timmy Changs. We like the Changs this weekend.
They know they need to show up as making sure that people haven't forgot they love their football there on the islands.
Final dress rehearsal week for us, if you will. Maybe we're playing 3 quarters, filling things out. These games will not count. It's final test to see where we're at going into the year. And for my last game, I'm not going to go to that game, although I probably would bet Stanford if I did.
Big wood in Vegas?
Today I'm laying the big wood.
I'm laying big wood in Vegas. I'm doing it. I think there's energy and enthusiasm from UNLV, who's been largely irrelevant my entire life. I was too young to remember Larry Johnson and the basketball, Greg Anthony, running Rebs. Too young for that. I wish I wasn't.
The defense was so much fun.
Their program has always been a quote-unquote sleeping. Was UNLV not better? Well, here comes Barry Odom. He leads them to the brink of a playoff, and then, oh, my God, we finally got a good coach, and then he left immediately. And enter Dan Mullen, an SEC coach, a prominent one, a guy who worked for ESPN. He's overhauled the roster. They brought in all these power transfers. Alex Orji is a name that people know. He can't throw the football. I think Calandria, their other quarterback who's a transfer from Virginia, is a bit underrated, and considering their schedule should have a good year. They're both going to play tomorrow. Again, you can't really watch the game because it's on the Mountain West app. They're laying 27.
The big wood's still in here?
Today I'm laying the big wood.
Give me the Running Rebs minus 27 tomorrow in Las Vegas to cover a 4-touchdown spread.
All right.
Against the Idaho State.
Grip it and rip it.
Bengal
week
Tigers.
0.
Let's go, baby. There's our week 0 Sprague and Line picks. It is back.
We are ready for prime time. These will not count in the final standings.
These will not count. Not count.
I'm trying to see. I have finished second the last 2 years.
You've been right in the middle.
I rode the cellar quite a bit, and then some late season.
You did. You turned it around late.
Some late season bursts to avoid being that number 1 draft pick.
Yeah, so. First year we did overall standings and kept track. I finished in first, you finished in second, and Sprague finished in third. Last year it was flipped. Sprague finished in first, you finished in second, and I finished in third. So how will it go this year? The records will officially begin counting next week. Final dress rehearsal for us. Thanks for all the fake sponsors. Let's wrap it up on a Friday, man. It's a football Friday. Got football on tomorrow. Can't wait. Close it up, 105.1 FM, The Fan next. There you go. Fist pumping your way into the weekend every single Friday. Look at us bringing back an old staple. You want a little crosstalk on your Friday?
What's up, baby?
What's up, P. Harris?
Hey, my man.
Dude, I got to be honest with you.
What's up?
I'm not just saying this because you're here. First off, mustache looks great.
Thanks, dude. I shaved yesterday. Feeling real nice.
An absolute delight on my drive home every day to hear some P. Harris.
Thanks, dude.
To hear the pipes, to hear P. Harris on the air. That's a dub in the Dirt playbook, and it's great to have local radio on. I don't want to give away listening habits, but I didn't used to listen to our former show very often. I usually turn on music or whatever on my drive home because it'd be something about LeBron or the Cowboys, and I'm like, you know what?
Aaron Rodgers. Don't forget Aaron Rodgers.
That's great for you. You're making a lot of money, but that doesn't really interest me as a sports fan.
I used to play the game in the car. It'd be like, all right, what's it going to be? What's it going to be? And I'm like, it's Aaron Rodgers. And he'd be like, LeBron James. I was like, dang it. Damn it.
I had a 33% chance to be right.
Well, that's very
so
nice.
It's wonderful to have local radio on my drive home every day.
It's very nice.
I yell at my car about all the things Danny Meringue says. It pisses me off. That idiot!
That's very nice of you to say. I was rafting last weekend.
Yeah.
And there was this boat floating behind us, and me and my buddies have been doing it down there for like 20 years. We look at these kids. They're like 22, 23 years old. They look like us.
Sure.
They look like us 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Just high and drunk and being absolute idiots.
Right.
Wearing like a ski-doo life jackets instead of real PFDs. Just a bunch of idiots.
Right.
And my buddy goes, where are you guys from? They're like, we're from Vancouver. Because this guy was like, man, with a mustache like that, you're either a porn star, a cop, or a firefighter. And my buddy was like, do you listen to sports radio? And I was like, damn it, bro.
Don't do it, dude. Don't do it.
And this guy goes, oh, man, you're that dude on the firm. And I was like, oh, God, no, this is terrible. This is terrible. And his buddy goes, I'm not going to lie, man, that show kind of sucks, but, like, I love the station.
That's like the honesty you get in kids sometimes when they tell you things. You're like, well, thank you for your honest opinion in my face. I appreciate that.
His buddy behind him goes, I love your show, man. I'm on 205 every day, baby.
Just some bros in Vancouver, dude. Tuning in. Let's go, baby. What's coming up on the firm today? What do we got booked?
What do we got? We got Alex Brink on at noon. We're going to do the Alex Brink. Fun story about Alex. He is my quarterback when I was at Wazoo.
He's your quarterback.
He's my quarterback. I am born June 2nd of 1985. Alex Brink, born June 2nd, 1985.
Look at you two. Fact or fiction, best quarterback in Washington State history. Or no, what was our segment we did 2 weeks ago?
Fact or feelings?
Fact or feelings, thank you.
Fact or feelings?
Who is the best quarterback in Coug history?
I mean, talent-wise, it's Drew.
Yes.
It's Bledsoe. Stat-wise, though, we talked about this. His stats aren't great.
No.
But when you're 6'5" and you got a cannon and
had a good NFL career.
Bad Wazoo teams.
He ended up in a Rose Bowl, right? Did Bledsoe get to one? No, that was after him. Okay.
No, it's Jack Thompson, Ryan Leaf, and Gardner Minshew.
Gardner Minshew, baby.
But Brink was my boy. Gesser was great, too. Brink was my guy. So we'll do that. I mean, we'll talk SEC. I mean, I just watch what you guys do, and then I just copy segments. I just steal them. I don't do show prep.
Nah, you don't need to, man. Don't worry about it. Just show up. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Hey, football's back. Great to see P. Harris. They're coming up next. Thanks, everybody, for tuning into our Friday. If you missed it, go check the podcast, 1051thefan.com. If you missed the YouTube show, by the way, over 6,000 subscribers on YouTube. So,
hey,
well done, everybody.
There we go.
Thank you to listening to the call to action.
I had a guy yesterday tell me that my show sucked and yours is the best, and I said, dude, I agree. I listen every day.
Dude, that guy sounds like a genius, man.
Yeah?
I promise it wasn't me. My burners on your YouTube chat in the middle of your show.
If you got burner
Dude,
YouTube.
screw USC. I love Dirt and Sprague, man.
If you got burner YouTubes, that's rough.
If you got burner YouTubes, you got problems in life.
Yes.
Don't have a burner YouTube. Enjoy the football, everybody. We'll see how Teddy Ball game does tonight. I'll give a full report on Monday. Can he make it down the aisle?
Final golf in the Northwest of the season. Tomorrow morning, we will be live from the Portland Indoor Golf Club down there in Beaverton.
There you go, baby. Have a great weekend, everybody. We will talk to you Monday at 6 a.m. The Firm of Harris and Meringue is next. Listen to 105.1 FM, The Fan.